certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz. Every detail has been inspected and road tested by highly skilled Mercedes-Benz technicians, and it's all backed by an unlimited mileage warranty, which makes the decision of where to buy one simple. Your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. The certified pre-owned sales event going on now through March 2nd. Come in today and enjoy a credit of up to $1,500 towards your first 2 payments through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. Because in the end, it's absolute confidence in genuine Mercedes-Benz parts, or it isn't. It's either Mercedes-Benz certified pre-owned, or it isn't.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on credit towards your first 2 months' payment and certified pre-owned warranties.
Welcome back to the Jimbo Hannon Show at 1-866-50-JIMBO. J.R. Young is the founder and president of King Operating Corporation. His website is his name, Jayr Young.com. And I think we got that call through with David in Creston, Iowa next. Hello, David.
Hello. It takes me a long time, doesn't it?
There you go. All right. But here you are. What's on your mind tonight?
Okay. I've got 20 acres of oil property down in Oklahoma, and they've been drilling all around it, and I get at least 2 or 3 offers a year wanting me to lease the property to them. They've got an oil line that runs right on my border down there. It just goes not through the property, it's just right at the property line. And there's coal coming out on the ground. I think my neighbor down there said that he could smell oil all the way over to his house. He's not too far from there. He said there's wells drilling all around it. You think it might be a good idea if I just try to I get several I don't know how to actually judge what the prices are.
Well, let me get this straight. You own property in oil country, but no one is drilling on it at this time. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm
all right. And you'd like to know, Mr. Young's thoughts on the advisability of essentially leasing out your property, right?
Right. Yeah,
okay. Well, let's ask him, Mr. Young.
Hey, good. Thank you. Appreciate that question. I tell you, and what I would do is I would take the offers to your neighbors and ask them what they get, because a lot of these people will come in and they'll say, okay, we'll give you $3,000 an acre to lease your land for 3 years. And the property you may be in a place where it's $20,000 an acre. So they may give you the rights on your 20 acres and give you 20,000 acres for 3 years. But you want to make sure that, call a lawyer in town and say, hey, have you worked with any of the other leaseors in our area? And if not, who has? And then get with them, because, a lot of times we go into an area and we'll say, hey, we'll give you, $1,000 an acre, and they'll say, well, I know, but my attorney said that you're giving somebody else $1,200 or whatever. So, it is supply and demand, and it is what the market gives you, but you don't know what it is. And unless you find somebody that is like your neighbor or an attorney in town, knows somebody that is leasing and signing the paperwork with that company. So my suggestion would be to call an attorney in that small town and find out who's doing the law work on it.
All right, very good. Good luck to you, David. And to wrap up, about 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds here, are we going to see a continued boom in petroleum?
Right now we're seeing 300 less rigs, as I mentioned earlier, Jim. So you're going to have some oil coming down. You'll see the supply coming down this year. But until we get those rigs, because the capital's been drying up. I mean, it's harder for us to get capital. So until you see the capital start coming in and the rigs start moving, you're going to see oil supply come down.
All right,
your demand's going to be there. So
fair enough. We'll wrap on that note. Stay on the line. We'll speak off air. J.R. Young of King Operating Corporation, their founder and president. I'm Jim Bohannon, and this is Westwood One.
Gibson Show, you've missed a lot.
Hey,
ran a green campaign, of course, and cannabis was just one of the 5 main points I had. The other part is green with renewable energy, which I feel we accomplished something big. We actually passed a law requiring 100% renewable energy by 2045.
Don't miss out. Tune in every weekday morning from 6 to 10 for The Ray Gibson Show on Guam's only FM News Talk Superstation, 93.3 The Point.
Phony IRS calls. I'm Ginny Cosola with your Fox Business Network tax tip. After this.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network, download, listen, and be inspired with Lauren Green's Lighthouse Faith. Fox News religion correspondent Lauren Green uses her wealth of stories to take the listener on a unique journey of spiritual discovery. Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
That cold call claiming to be from the IRS is fake. Dan Geltrude, CPA and managing partner at Geltrude & Company, says the IRS doesn't reach you that way.
If you receive an unexpected call from the IRS, it's probably a scam. If the IRS needs to get in touch with a taxpayer, it sends a letter.
He says the IRS also doesn't send a text or social media message.
Always be wary if you are contacted by someone claiming to be from the IRS who says you owe money.
The IRS doesn't call you unless you're already well aware of an audit. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Pardons and commutations. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House says President Trump has granted clemency or commuted the sentence of 11 people today, including a former Illinois governor who's been in prison for corruption. Fox's Jeff Manasso is live in Chicago.
Lisa, he exhausted his appeal options 2 years ago, but Rod Blagojevich is now set to walk out of a Colorado prison after President Trump commutes the former governor's 14-year prison sentence.
So he'll be able to go back home with his family after serving 8 years in jail. That was a tremendously powerful, ridiculous sentence, in my opinion.
The Republican president at Joint Base Andrews on the Democrat who was convicted on corruption charges. We're told the paperwork process is now underway and that off-duty officers are set here in Chicago to pick up Blagojevich at the airport to bring him home. Lisa.
Well, Jeff, today's pardon list includes financier Michael Milken, former San Francisco 49ers owner Edward DeBartolo, and New York City's former police commissioner Bernard Carrick. It does not include Roger Stone, at least not yet, the Trump associate due for sentencing Thursday amid an ongoing firestorm over revised sentencing guidelines. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump, prior to departing for California on Air Force One, saying he has full confidence in his embattled Attorney General William Barr.
He's a very straight shooter. We have a great Attorney General, and he's working very hard. And he's working against a lot of people that don't want to see good things happen, in my opinion.
The president's comments come on the heels of a public letter signed by more than 2,000 former DOJ officials calling on Barr to resign, claiming he's done the president's bidding and that those actions have caused damage to the Department of Justice. Lisa?
Thanks, Sean. Both Barr and the White House have denied any presidential intervention. America is listening to Fox News.
Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer Squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. Go Sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Parts of the Deep South already flooded. Could get up to 2 inches of rain as the latest storm moves in. Fox's Steve Harrigan and hard hit Jackson, Mississippi.
The remarkable thing is there have been 0 reported casualties, 0 reported injuries. This in a 40-year storm. So the officials here have done a great job at getting the word out, and people have left their homes. What they're going to come back to is another story, because the property damage, at least, is going to be extensive. You can tell there's a lot of sewage in this water, so the cleanup is going to be a hard go.
Parts of Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee also trying to recover or bracing for more. The deaf and hard of hearing win a settlement with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. MIT agrees to make its website and online educational videos more accessible, months after a similar agreement was reached in a lawsuit against Harvard University. The National Association for the Deaf accusing the schools of discrimination for not adequately captioning videos of lectures and other programs posted online. When the San Francisco Giants honor their 2010 World Series champs with a reunion this August, one player who helped the team win that World Series will not be allowed to attend.
First baseman, outfielder Aubrey Huff, not invited because, as the team said, Huff, quote, made multiple comments on social media that are unacceptable and run counter to the values of the organization. Aubrey Huff in November had tweeted that he was, quote, getting his boys trained up on how to use a gun in the unlikely event Bernie Sanders beats Donald Trump in 2020. Huff feels that his uninvite is hypocritical, that a unanimous vote against him by the Giants board was because it, quote, didn't approve of my Twitter posts and my political support of Donald Trump. Jared Max, Fox News.
An hour to the close on Wall Street, the Dow's down 145 as concern about coronavirus ripple effects continues. The NASDAQ, though, is up in record territory. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
With a new decade, there are new opportunities. And with new opportunities, there is always a chance to say yes. Yes to that car. Yes to that business venture. Yes to that new house. With First Hawaiian Bank, it all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Hafa Day. This is Alicia Blas from Security Title with a gentle reminder that your first installment of property taxes is due February 20. You might not know, but if you purchase property after March 4, 2019, you most likely will not receive a tax bill in the mail, but you still owe the tax. To make payment, take a copy of your deed to Revenue Tax in Barragata and ask for the tax bill. When it comes to your family land, call the professionals at Security Title. We are here to help.
February 27th, it's the last call for leadership.
If you want to add value to people, you have to know and relate to what other people value. You see, great leaders are first of all listeners, and then they're learners, and then they're leaders.
The voice of John C. Maxwell, who leads a team of world-class speakers on the last chance to see the Live to Lead conference in November. Over 300 leaders and future leaders experienced a day full of big ideas, fun, and high-level motivation. For those who couldn't make it, we're doing it again. Registration closes soon. Get the details at GuamTraining.com. Live to Lead is brought to you by Atkins Kroll, Guam's #1 car dealership. Also by Personal Finance Center and the Guam Chamber of Commerce. Energize your team. Join the Guam Live to Lead conference today.
Good morning. It's 6:06. I'm Mana Silva Tyron with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. No criminal charges will be filed against a Guam police officer accused of police brutality. That from the Attorney General's office, which completed its investigation into Officer Joey Uggan. This investigation was prompted after a cell phone video captured Uggan striking an arrestee while he was handcuffed and being placed into a patrol vehicle. Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley says as egregious as the video appears, the AG's investigation showed the officer's actions were in fact justified and there's no probable cause to charge him with a crime. O'Malley says it was determined that the individual was resisting and refused to get into the back of the car. The open palm slapped to the abdomen, he said, is perfectly allowed under police rules. He adds it's almost the most minimal use of force to gain compliance. And if you look closely, you can see the damage to the vehicle caused by the arrestee. The man was placed under arrest after he allegedly attempted to punch a lifeguard at Ipoh Beach and then threatened other people on the beach. He's also alleged to have resisted police arrest. The police department is conducting its own administrative investigation into the incident, and having received copies of the AG's investigative reports, should be closing that investigation in the next few days. The incident also led to a civil rights investigation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It remains unclear, though, if the FBI has completed its investigation. Well, Guam will see over $720 million in construction projects related to the military buildup. But the looming question is where the workers will come from to do the work. Economist Gary Hiles says the island just doesn't have enough construction workers. The Trump administration proposed defense budget for fiscal year 2021 allocates $723 million for military construction projects on Guam. Hiles estimates the projects would require 5,800 employees to work continuously for a year, or 1,900 spread out over 3 years. The Guam Contractors Association has been actively engaged in recruiting and training skilled workforce, even emphasizing recruiting and training more women into the industry. President James Martinez says contractors rely on H-2B visa programs to help supplement the skilled workers, but with limitations on the use of H-2 workers, this is a perfect opportunity, he says, to train our local workforce. Now, more than 15,000 cancellations, and the Guam Visitors Bureau is bracing for an even further decline in tourist arrivals. The cancellations so far amount to a loss of $9.1 million in revenues. GVB President Pilar Laguatna says the cancellations are of bookings between the months of February through April. Each cancellation includes air travel, hotel accommodations, and tours. A briefing was held yesterday with travel and health officials to address the COVID-19 and its current impact on the tourism industry. Public Health Medical Director Jana Maglotnya says for the Guam community, probably the biggest concern is our resources are infinite or finite, so our best line of defense is to keep them out. Already, the island rejected the arrival of a cruise ship coming from Hong Kong and then the rejection of the Hong Kong men's basketball team. Now, Public Health is expected to receive coronavirus test kits. They say that's going to be in the next couple of weeks. However, some of those test kits will need to be validated for quality first. More news after this.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
A bill that would give the Guam Memorial Hospital an infusion of cash was signed into law. Bill 210 by Senator Therese Terlahi gives $10 million for an electronic health record system and other urgent repairs. This, of course, pending the availability of additional funding. Terlahi says the Army Corps of Engineers, in their preliminary outbrief, made it very clear that whether we build a new hospital or repair the current one, costs for repair of the projects for existing facilities should be incorporated to obtain, maintain accreditation. Some of the immediate needs at GMH include the leaking roof, faulty electrical panels, and faulty elevators, and the need for a new electronic medical record system. Well, the U.S. Court of Appeals has essentially stated it's too late for the government of Guam to sue over the decades of toxic military dumping at the Ordot dump. The Office of the AG is not backing down from the fight. Attorney General Levin Camacho stated his office is looking at filing a petition for rehearing, as well as asking the entire appellate court panel to hear the case. The petition will be filed by the end of March. Camacho adding if it's not successful, they'll take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. The appellate court decision was issued on February 14th. It states that Guam lost the ability to file a claim because the deadline had long expired. The court acknowledged that the United States deposited dangerous munitions and chemicals at the Ordot dump for decades and left Guam to foot the bill, but the deadline to sue was in 2007. Guam sued the U.S. government in 2017, and that's a decade past the deadline, arguing that the Navy was responsible for the Ordot dump's contamination, seeking to recoup its costs for closing the dump and building a new one. Guam sued for at least $160 million. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
It says here, partly sunny skies and breezy with isolated showers. Northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour. Expected daytime highs today should be about 86 degrees. For tonight, mostly cloudy, breezy and isolated showers. There's northeast winds again 15 to 25 miles an hour. Expected overnight lows tonight should be 74. Still rough out in the waters. High risk of rip currents through late Sunday night along east-facing reefs. Sunrise this morning should be about 6:42. We'll watch the sunset tonight at 6:27. Tell the others, round up the usual suspects. We'll see you for sunset at the usual spots. Again, 6:27 tonight, 6:13 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Yikes, are those Christmas bills coming in? Wait, hold on. That was last month. Now it's this month. But by popular demand, we're extending our New Year's solution 4.65% personal loan through February. Money for whatever you want at 4.65% APR from Bank Pacific. We're still celebrating.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal credit opportunity lender as low as 4.65%. Conditions apply.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show being brought to you by the guys over at Denny's. We love Denny's, don't you? They got great local specials. Eggplant with ground beef, tofu omelet, nacho cheese fries, pepper steak stir fry, Korean ground beef bowl, and plenty more. Super local menu. You can't get this at the Denny's in Wisconsin, guys. You can only get it here. Program's also brought to you by American President Lines. Global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Too much buttons around here. Something is out of whack, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix it in time to fix anything. So we'll see how it plays out. 6:15 in the morning, and the recommendation is this: is you find an old-fashioned radio, tune it to 93.3, and then you can watch us and listen to the broadcast at the same time. For some reason, the audio from here is not getting onto the Facebook stream. Or probably or the YouTube. I don't know. I'm getting a variety of different reports from a variety of different places. So I'm going to try to keep things away from my mouth so that you'll still be able to read my lips as we make our way through this broadcast.
Mercury.
Mercury's in retrograde.
Absolutely. February 17th, and it'll last all the way until March. So brace yourself. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, for all kinds of
right
things.
Right down to my GPS this morning.
Your GPS is fouled.
My GPS, my cars.
So I tell you, I generally don't like talking, about the inside baseball technical issues, but we had a problem up at one of our transmitter sites, and kept going off the air. It wasn't the transmitter. There was a loose wire in a breaker panel somewhere, and it kept tripping off the breaker. And there's absolutely no reason why that wire should have come loose. Why did it do that? There's absolutely
it's the way of
no
the
reason.
universe.
Yesterday, and people asking what happened with Bob Klitsky's program yesterday. Technical difficulty. For some reason, one of the audio drivers in a very complex digital system just all of a sudden uninstalled itself. Just decided, well, done. And it took me and Real Joe and one of the IT guys and a guy out in, I don't know, Forgotten Fork, Wyoming, someplace that in the middle of the night helped us out with that off-air issue. But it was settled by the time I got to be 6 o'clock last night. So absolutely tricky time. Technology, communications are all going to be impacted with this Mercury in retrograde. If you didn't believe it before,
I fact-checked it.
It's happening right now. It's actually happening right now. 6:17 in the morning. There are folks online, and I do want to say good morning to them, just cause, and it's a big crowd too, wondering what the heck's going on with the sound, bro.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Well, You know what? I'm so busy taking a look at what the issue might be. I didn't get around to doing the top 10 this morning. It just assumed that maybe it was Carl L.G. Bloss that scored again, or maybe James Howard or Ismail, or one of the guys. Bennett Duenas is online. Bennett Lohan Duenas. Gus Castro Desanga saying, it's true, capital is tight for us oil and gas folks. Coronavirus? Well, there's a story about that on the CNBC. I'll see if I can get around to do one. And Sabine says, it's Wednesday morning. What y'all got to say about the news yesterday? Wow. Yesterday, just a strange and tragic news day with the word that Ken Joe had passed away, Ken Joada, and the outpouring of grief through most of my WhatsApp chats was definitely in evidence. And now I'm kind of kicking myself for not appreciating his campaign signs more than I did. You remember his campaign signs were almost mystical, the way he put those things together, and reminiscent of the signs that you see over at 76 Circle K, just offering up some friendly advice. So that was one of the things in the news yesterday that slowed us down and gave us pause and reflection on what we got going on in our lives these days. Then you've got some other things that are taking place. The Attorney General's office and a couple of big stories from them. We'll get around to talking about that and others. Thanks, Sabine, for the jolt. Ismail, green, renewable energy, and fossil fuels. Yep, burn pot. If a circle is round and a square is not, it's poetry time, then Lou has the money that I ain't got. For it takes 35 years to turn 35 years old, and if you're age and temperature, then it's cold. But a wrinkled shirt is just a shirt with many creases. Aw. Rest in peace, Ken Joada. And then he goes on to say PTSD is not a joke and not something that affects only a veteran or first responder. PTSD affects the entire community, and we must all understand that. Once we accept that, then we can heal together. James Howard on June Bell saying the point with the thumbs up. That's nice. Margaret Bloss, good morning, Ray and team. I got Lady D saying, I'm disappointed, Ray Gibson. I was sure I was seeing things. Bernie Sanders? You know what? Maybe I changed my glass. I got a bunch of different glasses, right? So I get my reading glasses from readers.com if I don't get them from Cost You Less. So readers.com, and they're not very expensive, and they come in different frames that you don't normally see even at the eyeglasses store. So yeah, these aren't so bad. You like them too?
I like them.
Yeah, you like them more than you like the clear ones?
I like both of them, but I prefer the dark frames.
Really? Okay, I'll put them on for a while. It's just that they
you ever see the guy in Heroes? Remember that movie, the show Heroes? Yeah. It reminds me of the guy's glasses.
It kind of bends the rays the wrong way. John Ray Titano's on. I got James Howard, Pam Duvall, Bust Stop Betty, Michelle Pierce online. Juanita Machi. There's Pretty Belen Sidell, and I got Bob Kelly online. Richard V. Leon. What's Fispaki stance upon the return to Guam? Ooh, are we going to do a coronavirus thing again? I've got some other interesting things about coronavirus that are working. Silver Fox, it's Viper. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I know what that's in reference to, and I'll get to it in a second. Gary Shawnalls is there. Rooster, Valerie Bloss. I got Patrick Bumba that's hanging out with us this morning, and Joe Henson III, who's checking in online and back in the United States mainland. Hoping to come home one of these days. Renee and Pat Taitugui, Jess Mendiola, Yoichi Rangil is tuned in. Should be from Palau. He was talking about leaving there yesterday. Now, the only question I've got for you, Yoichi, is if you're continuing to surveil things, did they pick up your trash today? It's trash day for Ray. It's trash day for Yoich. Yeah, remember last week he was having just a dickens of a time trying to get his trash picked up. Randy Kruger is online. And Nick Prolosky says, you just gave GPA another excuse for their book of excuses. It is possible that some of the things that we are dealing with here this morning come as a result of some power surges that Tamuning and other places had yesterday.
Yeah,
there was a big hiccup with GPA yesterday about what? 1 in the afternoon?
Yeah, thereabouts. Lunchtime.
Lost the power here at the radio station. I know we lost the power at the transmitter site.
Barragata
was out. Funny, I didn't feel anything over at my house. My house was okay, so I must be on that protected list. Our running pal Doris is there. Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada. Joey Charfaris is hanging out. Charlene Marcia. So Eunice who? Mendiola. There we go. Bob Lazama and plenty more. As the morning progresses, I might have a couple of places where the commercial breaks are long enough for me to press a button and see see if I can get the signals that's supposed to be here playing on the Facebook Live and the YouTube Lives and all of that. In the meantime, as I say, we're also on the radio, so 93.3 FM radio. You should be able to pick us up just about anywhere you can pick up any other radio station. So 6:22 in the morning, and now that I've gotten that taken care of and a few other things, there are some thoughts in my head, and the title of today's program, it's The Rise 2020, The Rise of the Pig. Geren Babui. Had you heard? There was a friend of mine, I told you on Facebook, that was trying to leave the house, but there was a pig that was blocking her exit. I mean, she couldn't open the door because there was a... Pigs are not small. They're small for about 20 minutes when they're a baby.
If they do have small ones following them, stay the heck away.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Because they will go after you like a...
Mother hen. Like the mother pig.
Mother mad mama.
So, there's running that I like to do down at Radio Barragata, the old Radio Barragata, around the old golf course there. And you got to make a lot of noise when you're driving through there because there are pigs. And so I try to make enough noise so that I startle them. Every once in a while, I'll run on the road or the side of the road, and there's a big birdie balaku staring me down.
What's the noise that you make?
Hey! Hey! Yeah, just kind of a sound that is, they're probably not used to hearing in the jungle. God, I can't believe you made me do that. So anyway, so I'm making it, but every once in a while, and most of the time, you hear little noises in the bushes that some of the pigs got the message. But every once in a while, you'll run upon a guy who just kind of stands there and looks at you. And that's when I step off the line, as they say. I step off the line because if that pig ain't moving, that means that's his place. And in a lot of cases, those pigs can cause a lot of damage on a human being. So there's a story that Blake wrote. There's a feral pig on the loose in Tamuning behind the AK area. A man was bitten by a feral pig in Tamuning yesterday and had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. GFD spokesperson Charika Chargaloff confirmed that a Tamuning man was bitten by a pig behind Oli's bar in Tamuning about 6:30 the other night. She said he suffered a leg injury.
We need to investigate.
His name and current conditions are not known. Paramedics took him over to Navy Hospital. Tamuning Mayor Louise Rivera had not heard of the incident, but she says she knows there's a feral pig in the area. I've heard about one behind AK. It's the only pig that I know of that was on the loose that I saw for myself on a video clip in social media. I wasn't informed about Tamuning is there's still some jungle down there. It's not a completely urban environment. There's still a little bit of suburbs in there. It wasn't that long. Another running story. I was running by the Shell station. You got the GPO on the other side, King's over there, and the Shell station. I was coming up on the Shell station, and from out underneath a bunch of cars, here comes these boonie dogs. They go boonie dogs in Tamuning. That's unusual, and they chased me down like I was stealing from the gas station or something like that, and probably would have gotten me had a driver not seen that I was in trouble with these dogs. He drove up on the sidewalk to chase the dogs away, and I thought, thanks very much, because all of the dogs in this pack were alpha dogs. They weren't, it wasn't like one big dog and then the rest of these little ankle biting yappers. They were all big boony dogs, and that was, it might be the only time in my life I've ever been afraid while I was doing some running. So that's the deal. That's the deal. Now I don't know. 6:26 in the morning might be just a little bit of distraction in my head, but the thought that pops in my head now as I'm thinking about this pig that bit the guy behind Oli's bar in Tamuning, we got to form us a posse. We gotta form us up a posse. We gotta put out some pig traps out there, right? And we take this pig and we dispatch the pig. There are gonna be people going, oh, Ray, it's just a friendly neighborhood pig.
Are you promoting animal cruelty?
I'm not promoting. I'm promoting eating a pig. I'm promoting it. Let's go and find this pig, humanely dispatch it, bullet to the head, and then we'll do some field dressing. And Kevin, the guy who works here, Kevin Uggan, Pitbull, has actually won competitions for his pig.
Pork in the Park.
Yeah, Pork in the Park.
Really?
He's won that a bunch of times. So he's like celebrity chef around here. You give him the pig parts, and then he'll go ahead and prepare it so everybody can enjoy the flavors.
Wow.
So-
good to know.
So that's my point here. So if we're going to be going into a full-blown war, and you talk to a lot of the village mayors, they'll tell you that feral pigs are becoming a problem because they're running out of food to eat in the jungle, and like I said, it's trash day. My place, I don't generally worry about it, but up in Barragata Heights, where Shelley's place is, on trash day up there, it's a fairly common sight to see the trash laying on the big bins, right? The big GSWA bins laying on the ground because the pigs are big enough. The dogs might not be able to knock them down, but the pigs certainly are. And we know what problems they're causing up in the
I think
highlands.
what's happening is because all of the development, we're disturbing their habitat, so they're coming out, maybe looking for food and realizing, wow, this is pretty lucrative out here.
As I said,
getting to the trash.
And can you imagine the stuff that you throw away? I mean, the pigs they open that up just like the dogs do, and it's kind of a buffet in there. So something to think about. So today, I'm not necessarily declaring a war on the pigs because I think they've already done that at the Department of Agriculture with their pig hunting derbies and things like that. But maybe there needs to be more by way of work that we can do, especially if we've got pigs that are floating around in the Tamuning area. 6:28 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK is the telephone number around here, and some other interesting stories. You looking for a job? Anybody? I mean, not you. You already got one.
Oh.
Sorry. You have to do enough to stay here and do the news in the morning. Real Joe Cruz technically has 2 jobs here at the radio station. So neither one of you need to be looking for jobs. But if you out in the audience, you are looking for some kind of job out there, there are a couple of interesting ones that are floating around. Now I'll categorize jobs in one of a couple of different ways. There's the high-paying, 6-figure, lots of travel, no expectations for any kind of results kind of jobs. Those are few and far between. But then every once in a while you get into a situation where you can go, hey, I like this job because it will involve mostly Korean hot pants. And if you're looking for that job at Scuba Co. in Tamuning, not too far away from where that feral pig lives, is looking for aqua walk divers, dolphin guides, and somebody to drive around in the van. So it seems to me that would be one of the jobs where, you've kind of mentally checked out of the corporate world. You're not into the rat race anymore. What do you want to do? I just want to enjoy life. I want to be on a boat all the time surrounded by young Japanese tourists. And that's the job right there over at the scuba place. There's another one. They're looking for part-time D-licensed drivers to work in the overnight hours, etc. Good attitude, good team players. That's what they're looking for over at Lam Lam Tours. And frankly, I'm delighted to see that because I thought that it was getting tougher and tougher for guys in the tour bus business. Right? So I'm glad to hear that they're hiring, and I'm glad to hear that they're hiring in different hours. Now, there's another job, and in this case, this might be ripe for a conversation, wondering who's going to get this job, because in the past, it has been worth a lot of money to at least one lawyer out there. The Port Authority of Guam has issued a request for a proposal for professional services for legal counsel over at the port. Now, that was some yummy money for a guy named Mike Phillips not that long ago. Pondering, if you will, maybe the possibilities. I forgot to go to law school, so I might not be able to do that. But you might be one of those catch me if you can guys that just studied for 20 minutes and passed the bar. And maybe you can be the next Port Authority legal counsel. 6:31 in the morning. And guess what? We got a breakaway for our first look at headlines and news. From the Guam Daily Post, here's Amana Silva Tyron.
But no criminal charges will be filed against the Guam police officer who was accused of police brutality. That from the AG yesterday, which completed its investigation against Officer Joey Uggan. The investigation was prompted after a cell phone video captured him striking an arrestee. The AG's office said he was completely justified in doing so. Now, more than 15,000 cancellations and GVB bracing for even more. The cancellations resulted in $9.1 million in revenues. Travel and health officials held a briefing yesterday. GVB President Pilar Laguatna says the cancellations are for bookings between February and April of this year. And while the U.S. Court of Appeals says it's too late to sue over the decades of toxic military dumping at the former ORDOT dump, the AG isn't backing down and says he'll take the matter to the highest court if needed. AG Levin Camacho will file a petition for rehearing. The court acknowledging that the U.S. did deposit dangerous munitions and chemicals into the island's dump, but Guam was a decade late in filing suit. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper or log on to their website at postguam.com.
I got you. Let me see. 6:32 in the morning, and a note here: if you are looking for something to buy, I don't know, AirPods Pro. I think I've heard enough good things about the AirPods Pro that I'd like to get a set. I just don't want to pay for them. So here, do me a favor: swing by the iConnect that they've got over at the Micronesia Mall, and say you heard me talking about the AirPods Pro, and you'd like to buy me a set. Get me a fancy case too, if you can. Because I don't want to. Have you seen the latest thing on these AirPods? Because you get these kids anymore. We've talked about this, and they need on-air light somewhere, so you can tell when they're doing their TikTok or when they're talking with their friends or listening to tunes. But there's a thing now. The kids love it because they're wireless, right? The problem is they're losing them. They're losing the AirPods. So the next thing to come out now is a string that attaches to the AirPod. And I'm going, I just get the one with the wire attached to it. Then you don't have to worry about losing anything. The answer is because it's not cool, Dad. 6:33 in the morning. Get the cool stuff, Apple accessories, and more at iConnect at the Micronesia Mall.
Hafaday, Guam. We'd like to invite you to join us February 23 for the Guahan Festival of Hope with Franklin Graham at the Guam Football Association soccer field next to Dedido Sports Complex. Franklin Graham will be on Guam to share a life-changing message of God's love and hope for every one of us. This hope-filled event will also feature musical performances by Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Michael W. Smith. Tommy Coombs Band, and Dennis Agajanian. Don't miss this free once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Come join us for an afternoon of music and a life-changing message of God's love and hope on February 23 at the Guam Football Association soccer field, starting at 4:30 p.m. Gates open at 3:30 p.m. Admission is free. For additional information and updates, visit us and like our Facebook page at Guahan Festival of Hope. See you there. God bless you and God bless Guam.
Swing by the nearest Wendy's. Why? Because salad. They've got other stuff there. They got salad. You know, it's breakfast time. And you might still be able to scrounge up some Wendy's bacon fried rice. Now, I liked when they first came out with the fried rice, I was like, this is bomb. You don't need to do anything to this. And one of the guys said, well, wait a second. We've got all this bacon laying around here. Let's put some bacon in the fried rice. And they did. And the Lord said, this is good. So you might want to try that. If it gets to be lunchtime and you still haven't run by Wendy's, check out the Big Bacon Classic Juicy Beef Patty. Then they put melted cheese on top of it. Crispy. There's more bacon. There's not enough bacon at breakfast time. We got bacon in the sandwiches. Lettuce and tomato and onions and pickles and mayo and ketchup. You know, bacon, it's just the Big Bacon Show today. It's the Big Bad Boy Bacon Show today, isn't it? Anyway, go and find your Big Bacon Classic today at Wendy's. Now, that's better.
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, Two Lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
Groovy, it is 6:36 in the morning and time for our first look at right now traffic. How bad is it going to be out there? There was another one of these Mercury is in retrograde issues the other day over at the Bank of Guam intersection. The light just never went green, and everybody at the intersection was at the bank trying to head towards where Moses is down that street, and nobody wanted to go. And I'm like, you guys, it's happy hour. Just make a right turn and then turn over in front of the old Pollo Loco, and then you can go. And it's funny. You almost need to get out of the car and tell people it's not going to go green. Just move the car. I don't know if that's the case today. We'll see what happens. But I'm looking at mostly intersection traffic right now. A little bit of traffic on Waisangsong trying to head to Marine Corps Drive. Also a little bit of traffic on Route 3, not too far away from the schools. Also moving in that direction. Expect some delays, though, when you get to 1 and 3. A little bit of traffic over at the Jollibee intersection, the Chicken Joy intersection. But it looks like it opens up, and you got clear signals all the way from there into the downtown Hagåtña area, where there's a little bit of traffic over in the Kapua place. And that's it for right now traffic. But I do want to mention, have you seen all of the trucks over by the Kapuha Loop? I guess it's, I'd love to talk to Simon about this, because it looks like it's the other end of the work. So they've got one section on Route 4, where they're doing all of that underground work for GWA.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it looks like, they're finishing it up over at the other end, over by the Kipuha Loop, and around there, just to the northern side of Chamorro Village. And it's interesting to me for a lot of reasons, because number one, I think it's interesting technology that they're using to try to rehabilitate the system through there without actually having to dig up every square inch of road. So I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know, you can't really see inside the vans, and you got these guys in different outfits, and there's all the generators, and it just looks like it's something out of Ghostbusters or something like that. What is going on over there? And they've got all these different kind of space age looking vehicles and all kinds of guys running around behind cones in the middle of the night. I don't understand what's going on there, and I want to find out because I'm interested in things that way.
You want to ride along?
I actually do kind of want to do a ride along because I'm just thinking there's probably some sophisticated alien technology in there that involves being able
I'm
to
sure
see
they would let you.
X-rays, microwaves. They got probably got these little UAVs, little drones that can fly in the pipes and check for all of that stuff.
That is cool stuff.
Just asking, can we? As long as it doesn't stink, I think I'd be all right. It's 6:38. That's right now traffic.
Oh, what's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yeah. All right. Well, apparently there's it's not a problem with the what do you call it, with buttons that need to get pushed. There's just some kind of significant delay that is going on here. 6:39 in the morning, and as I say this now, 6:39. Take a look at the bottom of the screen that you're watching on, and see if it says the same things. See if I'm telling you on the radio it's 6:39. What time is it where you are watching this program? Because it feels like it's about an 8-minute delay that I'm just flabbergasted by. I have no idea how to explain it. But what the heck? Technology is fun. Digital technology is even more funner. But in one's and O's, Carlos Barreto's online says broadcast is good. Nice to hear that. Nick Perlowski talking about a conspiracy by Gov Guam. They don't want the public to hear the truth. Well, they'll hear the truth just 8 minutes later. My buddy Joey Franquez is online. Stephen Klein says, wires coming loose? I deal with those all the time. Dave Torrey is on. Carlos Barreto, like I said. Marilu Berseman is there. Mercury retrograde. Yep. Here's another one. I was talking with Marilu in the last couple of days, and I had not seen her online. Normally, she's like in the top 15 of the program. And I saw her. I said, what's going on? Are you mad at me? Did I say something wrong? Am I greeting too many other girls? Is that what's going on here? And she said, no. She like a couple of problems with her cell phones. And she couldn't get them to work. One of them was, and maybe you're having the same issue, one of them was only half of the screen was working at any given time, right? And it's never the half that has the parts in there that you want to deal with. So I'm glad to see you back online there, sweetheart. Joey Chupfris is there. You can tell it's election time. A lot of cleaning going on. I see a little bit of cleaning going on in the village. Rudy had the guys out on the side of the road yesterday, and that was awful nice of him. They cleaned up the village, but you got to take a look at some of the medians in other parts of the island. I was driving down, and they might have gotten to it, but just east of Ganya, around the Lupang Towers, and then south of there, for a long time, it didn't look like anybody was cleaning up after that. It didn't look like anybody was doing the Zabao work. George Martinez says, I'm loud and clear out here in Carson, California. That's nice. I appreciate you chiming in. Thanks for the 5x5 there. Ree Tezuka Regis is there. Lillian Cruz. DDB, Denise Crisostamo is online. That's sweet. Mingo Ree. And let me see who else is there. Gwen Tytmanglua, Net Ada Vasquez. I want to make sure I got everybody all accounted for here this morning. Val Cruz, Keith Parsky at the Guam desk out in Washington, D.C. Rooster says he likes the clear specs. I'm just going to go back and forth between the two of them. And don't tell the people over at Readers.com. There was a box on my desk when I came in this morning from Readers.com. And I thought, well, wait a second. Did I order another set, different frames? And apparently, they doubled up on it. So I'll never lose these. And if I do, I will have a ready spare next to me on the desk.
Are they one of those that make it just nearly impossible to return, even though they've already sent you? Because I've received something. It was a double of something from Amazon. And it was like, no, we can't take it back. I'm like, okay.
Really?
I guess I got you.
There's, I think because there's, at a certain level, in time, motion, efficiency, and things like that, there's just, it's more trouble than it's worth for us to be able to take whatever this merchandise is and then put it back into our system, put it back into the into the inventory, and then it's got to be cleared because technically it's not new anymore because it was already packaged and sent out. I want to say that there are a number of businesses. Mike Tomorowski used to be over with Triple J. He's got that gun place out in Harmon, right? Anyway, so Mike's sideline, his side hustle, was that place down in Naganya. And everybody would look at the sign and go, well, that's kind of reminiscent of Walmart. And my understanding of the way it worked is it was, it's a whole store and kind of a franchise thing that's based on returns. People that had returned them, whatever it is, to Walmart. Like I said, they don't want to restock it. They don't want to have to scan it back into the inventory. Look, it's stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, when we get to that level. So we'll put it in a container and send it to these guys, and they can sell it for whatever they want to, and just take it off of our hands. So I want to say that there's a couple of businesses that do it just like that. But yeah, I'm not going to bother sending these back, and even if they charge me, the cool thing about, it'll sound like a commercial, Readers.com, is they're not expensive. Is these things are not as expensive as you might imagine. They're good looking. They're not the highest quality material in the whole wide world, but they're like $12 a piece. So if I lose it, if it breaks, I'm not gonna go crying to anybody. Lady D talking about GPA. The crumbs are hinting for raises, messing with the power. Do you believe that? Are you one of those? Are you that deep into the conspiracy that whenever the power goes out, big island-wide outage or something like that, that might be some of the guys in the rank and file sending out the message to the high-talking chiefs? Hey, guys, better not forget about us. Here you're talking about, going back in and having those CCU meetings and pondering raises and things like that. Will you ponder us, too, while you're there? Otherwise, we make things pretty uncomfortable for you. Wen is online. I see Frank Cruz is hanging out. So is Corrine Villara. Cisco Hotepea is online. And Kim Aiken is hanging out as well. Melissa Salasaki-Moto, Vivian Cunningham. My nephew, R.D. Gibson, is up early. I'm absolutely flabbergasted that he could possibly be awake at 6:45 in the morning.
Well, he has to be. He has to be up.
Is there school? He's not a student. He's a teacher, but he's also a singer. And last night, he absolutely wowed the crowd. He and a couple of friends that he has performed with in a variety of stage and screen and play stuff here on Guam got together and did a whole bunch of songs from Broadway over at the venue last night. And
I got video.
It was awesome.
He's outstanding.
You want to play it?
Do we want to? Yeah. Send it over. Maybe we'll play some of it. Send me the parts that's not copyrighted, so I don't get in trouble with the Facebook police. But Artie just absolutely wowed. It was a good show all around. But part of the finale was for me was watching my nephew up on stage here. He was just absolutely terrific, and of course Shelly and everybody was going all girly on it towards. He's so good. He's so good. I'm like, you didn't know that? You didn't know
I've
that?
known since he was 2.
Yeah, kid can sing. Gene, Uggan, Martinez, and Debbie Canetta are online this morning. Great to have everybody around. 6:46 in the morning, and now that I've gotten the hellos and the hail and farewells and all of that stuff out of the way, let's get started with today's program here. Welcome to the show. Excuse the mess. Montesilva Tyrant is over there. I got Real Joe Cruz pressing the buttons. Don't press them hard now. Don't want to break anything until the Mercury is out of retrograde. But as they say, in the beginning of the program, are there any news stories that are worth talking about? And I don't know where I am on this one. This might be one of those cases where I might need to find my Uncle Robert Underwood and say, all right, you got to give me some guidance on this. I remember when I first saw the viral video that went out of the cop. Looked like he was taking a sucker punch on this guy that he was trying to get into the car. And the Attorney General's office yesterday come out with a press statement before everybody and said, yeah, we've looked at it, and based on our investigation and based on what we know about the escalation of force when you're dealing with a perp, and it's arguable because I've seen different versions of the video. It's arguable that the guy was being a hard time. He was certainly resisting arrest. There's videos where he's seen trying to kick the door of the squad car closed so they wouldn't be able to put him into it. And then you got this shot of Officer Joey Uggan smacking a guy in the stomach. And from that angle, from that perspective, it looked like it would have been one that would double over any of us. That's what it looked like on the video. And then you start to hear from people that have worn the uniform before, that have worn the badge before, and have gone through the training. And so that's what they're talking about over at the Attorney General's office, is they feel that the use of force, maybe as minor as it was, as Cousin Basil says, didn't hit him that hard, was indeed justified. How do you feel? Does that sway you? Because like I said, there were a lot of us that were going, and I remember calling Bob Klitsky. I said, do we have a civil rights case here? And he said, based on what we're looking at, yeah, there's the possibility that there could be some kind of a civil rights violation going on. You get this cop, abusing his power. The guy's already in handcuffs and then smacks him in the stomach. I thought that was going to end up to be an open and shut case. Guys over at the Attorney General's office seem to disagree with that. So I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts are on this and where you think it might be headed now. There is still a case. There's still a criminal case pending with the guy that got the smack in the stomach. But as far as another criminal case between the Attorney General's office and this police officer, doesn't look like they're going to be pursuing that at all. What is interesting, and we talked with Bob Klitsky about this time yesterday, is the case against the United States government. And the government of Guam in 2017 finally said, that's it, we've had it, and we're not going to get pushed around by the federales anymore. Here we have spent all these millions and millions of dollars to close the ORDOT dump and open a new one out at Luzon, and we've got all these costs that seem to be coming out of nowhere, and we got to spend all kinds of money now. We got to build new cells and all this other crap that we got to deal with, and maybe, they said, maybe we might be able to find a way to pin some of the responsibility on the federal government, i.e. the U.S. military, because it was them who originally started throwing junk at the bottom of the valley in ORDOT, Salampago. You talked to the late John Gerber, and we used to have fun conversations that he and I used to have about music and growing up on Guam back in the olden days. And he kind of, he says we reminded each other of something. He says, you like to scrounge. I said, yeah. He says, I notice you're always looking on the ground when you walk around. He says, why is that? I said, because I always find stuff. I find money when I look on the ground. I find wristwatches and rings and things like that. And so his scrounge 'em up story is when he was a kid. It's not like we had the internet or malls or playgrounds. So what's a little kid from ORDOT supposed to do? And he was raised right across the street. What they used to do was him and his boys would go out and traipse around the boondocks, find themselves at the bottom of the valley, and see what kind of stuff people were throwing away. 651, family story. When I was a little boy, we used to have a store in Agana called Mariana Sales. Many of you will remember where it was, across the old Spanish Bridge, where the Serena building is now, is where Mariana Sales was. And every once in a while, there'd be too much trash for us to worry about the guys to come and haul it away. So we'd stick it in the back of a pickup truck, and we'd drive to the ORDOT dump. And after a while, they'd stop taking me on these dump runs. Because I would, while they're throwing stuff away out of the back of the pickup truck, I was walking around grabbing stuff in the piles of trash that people are throwing away, going, it's but it's still good.
See why I bring all of my surplus items from my house to Ray's house.
That's a
It's
fact.
a Guamanian picker.
It's a
So
fact.
Ray,
I tell you
Ray
what.
will have a dinner, and I'll bring something from my storage and leave it there.
So yeah,
Like on Halloween, I left a bunch of stuff. Swimming pool.
yeah, it's just great.
Decoration.
I got the whole dining set now. From the holidays. It's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, I'm one of those guys. So, but that's the story about the old dump down in Ordot, and the idea is at the bottom of it was stuff that Johnny Gerber could scrounge that actually recollects remnants of the Second World War. So by and by, time goes by, and it's 2007, which was apparently the deadline. If you were going to sue the federal government of the United States, you had to do that in 2007. Didn't get around to doing it until 2017, and the appeals court has thrown the case out. The Attorney General's office, according to what I'm reading, looks like they're going to stay in the fight over the federal responsibility. Because as I mentioned to Klitsky yesterday, I'm annoyed because they're taking this on statute of limitations, and it feels like a technicality. And I hate it. I hate it when people win on technicalities. Don't you? You get these guys. You just know that they're either the dirtiest, most corrupt, or laziest people in the government, and some way or another, somebody has the temerity to fire them, and they go before the Civil Service Commission, and by some miracle. And I talked to the guys over at the CSC, and they go, it's not the way it looks. But the way it looks is certainly damning in the least, is you get these guys, and they get fired, and they go to the Civil Service Commission, and it doesn't matter what they got fired for. Right? Live boy, dead woman. Doesn't make any difference. So these guys, they get fired. But they go before the CSC, and there's an appeal. And, based on a technicality, we didn't get the termination. The termination should have been done inside this time frame, or it should have been done on this kind of paper. It didn't have that kind of signature. So it didn't make any difference what these guys were terminated for. They get their job back. They get their back pay. They get the benefits that they would have missed because of technicalities. So it's one of those things. I hate losing battles on technicalities, and I think in this case, maybe the Attorney General might be in the right. I don't know what it's going to cost us to continue to fight this. Maybe even taking it to the Supreme Court, but at least find somebody that will hear what we've got to say. Based on the merits of the case and not looking at calendar and calendar items. A lot of work to be done in this town. I don't know if you've noticed. As I said, there's jobs out there. If you want the tourist in bikini job, the Korean hot pants job, those jobs are in abundance. We're looking at an opportunity to work for the Port of Guam. Almost called it the Superior Port of Guam. Superior, because we got the two. We got the District Port of Guam and the Superior Port of Guam. The Professional Services for Legal Counsel, Port Authority of Guam, a public corporation, and an autonomous instrumentality of the government of Guam, is soliciting proposals from qualified professionals, individuals, or companies to provide professional legal services to the Port Authority of Guam, the Jose D. Leon Guerrero Commercial Port, the sweetest-smelling port on Guam. You might think, well, maybe, I don't know, the Navy's got something pretty good on their side of the ocean, but I still think ours is looking pretty good. Maybe we'll get ourselves some new cranes. Some new operators out there, something. But first, we got to get ourselves a lawyer. And I don't know. You could probably make a educated guess as to how much Mike Phillips made when he was the lawyer for the port over all of those many years. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out from the woodworks and lines up for that job over at the port, because it could be a rather lucrative position that they've got out there. The other jobs that we've got to do plenty of hiring for is for all of the work that needs to be done on Guam, 6:55 in the morning. And we talked about this, and but keep waiting for it to get started, because it will be Carmageddon when it does. And that is the work that needs to be done from the Archbishop Circle leading into Tumon, all the way down the street towards the ITC building, that intersection there. It has been let, I understand, 3 times. And it doesn't look like there's any construction companies out there that have bid for that job, because they're already busy doing other jobs, and they just don't have the manpower to be able to swing the additional work that's going to be done and the expectations on the timeline for that to get done. Now, there's part of me that says, that's actually a good thing, because it means that you and I will still be able to get through that stretch of roadway without too much gnashing of the teeth. But that stretch of roadway is definitely showing its age. There hasn't been anything done on that stretch of roadway, I want to say, since the 1980s. There used to be as late as, 82, 83, maybe 84, you used to be able to drive straight through that road, right into the parking lot of the old Guam Memorial Hospital and the apartment buildings that used to be there, and the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse halfway houses that they used to have there. You used to be able to just go straight up through there. And then they put the circle in. And then there were accidents because none of us could figure out how to drive in the I still forget there's a yield sign when I'm coming out of Tumon. And so when you hear a horn being honked, it's usually at me for exactly that reason. But there was a time you could go straight through, and it was beautiful. But that was a long, long time ago, and that road is beginning to show its age. The sidewalks are beginning to show age. All of the other things that need to be done. The afterthought of having parking over here, church over here on this side of the street, and it's St. Anthony, so it's super popular. A lot of people like going to that church. So there's obviously work that needs to be done on that stretch of roadway, and I don't know when it's going to get done. But when it does get done, we were talking with civil engineers in here just the other day. They said, yeah, that's going to make for ugly traffic. It will be but ugly traffic, and there won't be too much to do about it because there aren't that many ways that you can punch into and out of that road when you stop and think about it. There might be a little bit of a peekaboo street over by GPO. There used to be, and I used to know how to get from the GPO side to the onward Agania Beach side, but I don't anymore. Something happened. Somebody put an apartment building up, and just no, Ray Gibson, you're not allowed to come through here anymore. But that's going to be the way people are going to get around. They're going to have to figure out what those little snaky roads look like on the backside at GPO because once the construction starts, you're going to want to stay off Challenge San Antonio to save your life. Then you get the other parts where we start looking at the rest of the streets on the other side. Wouldn't it be great if we could punch a hole from where the Shell station is right through ERC Trading, right through EPAL Road? Right? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be awesome if there were a bunch of other places on that road where you could go straight through and find yourself on the other side of EPAL Road? Look at a Google map. It's not that far. Why aren't there more ways to get from one to the other? Tricky. And that's going to meet up with the traffic that is going to, with the suck traffic that I had to be in yesterday. I actually found myself on Marine Corps Drive at 5:20 in the afternoon, and I was thinking, oh, smooth, I'm looking good here. And then I got to the ITC building intersection, and then it was nothing. It was a crawl all the way until you pass the airport intersection, and then magically it opens up. What is that? Is there another way that we can punch through onto Teedson, guys? Ponder that while the news is playing. It's 6:59 in real time here on the program. I have no idea what time it is on the Facebook Live. We got a big delay here. I'll fix that later. In the meantime, the radio station is KUSG. Got ya. This is 93.3. My name is Ray Gibson. Montesilva's got headlines coming up for you from the Guam Daily Post, and we'll yak with Jerry Roberts about the extra point. That's all ahead right here on The Point.
The president defends the attorney general. Lisa Brady, Fox News, calling William Barr a straight shooter. President Trump says the attorney general is working hard as they both deny presidential interference in Justice Department decisions. This amid the ongoing controversy over revised sentencing recommendations for Roger Stone. 11 other people are getting pardons or commuted sentences today. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump, prior to departing for California on Air Force One, saying today's announcement regarding presidential pardons and commutations has nothing to do with a possible pardon for his longtime friend Roger Stone, who faces sentencing on Thursday.
These are unrelated situations where people have done a great job with very, very strong recommendations, but we haven't thought about that yet. Right now, there's a process.
The president referring to Stone and his former national security advisor Michael Flynn, who pleaded guilty to lying to federal investigators, told reporters somebody has to stick up for the people. Lisa?
Thanks, John. The president today commuting the corruption sentence of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, and he pardoned others, including former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Carrick.
A man who's had many recommendations from a lot of good people. You know, oftentimes, pretty much all the time, I really rely on the recommendations of people that know them.
The president speaking as he was heading to California, the first stop on a 4-state Western swing that includes fundraisers and rallies. Former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg, a last-minute qualifier for the Democrats' latest debate tomorrow night in Las Vegas because of a new national poll done for NPR, PBS NewsHour, and Marist. It puts Bernie Sanders on top with 31%, but Bloomberg in second place with 19%, Joe Biden third with 15%. On Wall Street, the Dow down 166 at the bell. America's listening to Fox News.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering old-timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the second floor of Tumon Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
Hafaday, this is Congressman Michael St. Nicholas. Our veterans deserve the best, and I'm working hard to make sure they receive what they earned defending our freedom. If you need help receiving the benefits you earned from the VA or the Defense Department, please call my office at 475-6453 or go online at stnicholas.house.gov. On behalf of a grateful community, thank you for your service.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael St. Nicholas.
Officials in South Carolina revealing more on the death of a 6-year-old girl who disappeared last week.
Lexington County Coroner Margaret Fisher was emotional in revealing the manner in which Faye Marie Swetlick died.
The cause of Faye's death has been ruled asphyxiation.
Fisher says the death was a homicide that happened shortly after Faye's abduction. She did not die where her body was found. Officers were called to a nearby residence and found the body of a man identified as Cody Scott Taylor. Casey Public Safety Director Brian Snellgrove says DNA linked Taylor to Faye's death.
And it appears that he is the sole perpetrator of this crime.
As the investigation continues, a memorial for Faye Swetlick will be held later this week. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Jury deliberations continue. They started late this morning Eastern Time at the rape trial of Harvey Weinstein in New York, the former Hollywood producer charged with raping one woman, sexually assaulting another. So far, the jury has asked a couple of questions regarding testimony and charges. Shots fired during an Uber ride in Louisiana.
Authorities in Orleans Parish say an Uber driver is accused of firing at passengers who questioned his sense of direction. Police say 53-year-old Ahmad picked up a group at a bar last weekend in New Orleans and was told to take them to an area just west of downtown. The passengers noticed he was heading the wrong way, questioned Ahmad, who began to argue and stopped the car. When another car arrived to pick up the victims, Ahmad ripped the keys out of the other car's ignition, went back to his car, grabbed the gun, and started firing. Nobody was hurt. Ahmad drove off, then drove back to the scene where he was arrested. Ken Duffy, Fox News.
Recapping Wall Street, a sell-off blamed mainly on coronavirus concerns. Apple saying it'll fall short of revenue forecasts because of production problems and weak demand in China. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated team in Guam and on the U.S. mainland are here to support you. So call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com.
With a new decade, there are new opportunities. And with new opportunities, there is always a chance to say yes. Yes to that car. Yes to that business venture. Yes to that new house. With First Hawaiian Bank, it all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
Your 7 o'clock news is brought to you by Horizon Properties.
Half a day, good morning. It's 7:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyrod with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. Almost all of the delays leading up to the Mark Torrey Jr.'s second trial were the defendant's own doing, according to Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley. The prosecution is opposing Torrey's request to dismiss the case. O'Malley filed his opposition in the Superior Court of Guam. Torrey's been charged with negligent homicide in the 2015 shooting death a fellow police officer, Sergeant Bert Piolo. Defense attorney Jay Arreola has argued the court violated Tory's right to a speedy trial when it didn't begin the trial within 60 days after Tory had asserted his right to it. O'Malley asked the court to deny Tory's request, stating that the defendant's 60-day clock on his speedy trial rights did not begin until November 25th of 2019 and then stopped on December 31st when the defense filed a motion to exclude testimony from the first trial from being used in the second trial. O'Malley contends the clock definitely stopped on January 9th when the jury selection process began. Tory is scheduled back in court on February 21st to argue the dismissal motion filed. A Guam police officer alleged to have assaulted an arrestee will not face criminal charges. The Attorney General's office completed its investigation into Officer Joey Uggan. The investigation prompted after a cell phone video captured Uggan striking an arrestee while he was in handcuffs and being placed into a patrol vehicle at Ipoh Beach. Chief Prosecutor O'Malley says that as egregious as the video appears, the AG's investigation showed the officer's actions were justified and there is no probable cause to charge him with a crime. O'Malley says it was determined that the individual was resisting and refusing to get into the back of the car. The open palm slap to the abdomen is perfectly allowed, he said, under police rules. The man was placed under arrest after he was allegedly attempting to punch a lifeguard at the beach and threatening other people. He's also alleged to have resisted arrest. The police department, meanwhile, is conducting its own administrative investigation into the incident and have received copies of the AG's investigative reports and should be closing that investigation in the next couple of days. The FBI also launched a civil rights investigation. It isn't clear, though, if the FBI has completed that investigation. Criminal charges filed against Leighton Borja were dismissed by the Superior Court. Defense attorney Charles McDonald II represented Leighton Borja in the Superior Court yesterday. Judge Anita Sokola granted a motion filed by both McDonald and the Office of the AG to dismiss all charges without prejudice. Back in September, police executed a search warrant at a home along Batula Road in Dededo based on information that the suspect allegedly had been distributing methamphetamine out of his residence. He was indicted by the Superior Court's grand jury on charges of possession of a Schedule II controlled substance with the intent to deliver. Police had received information that methamphetamine was located in the area around where Borja kept his fighting roosters and that Borja would conceal methamphetamine inside latex gloves. Authorities confiscated 2 grams of methamphetamine near the chicken coop, as well as 2 boxes of latex gloves, a digital scale, 2 cell phones, and an SD card. According to McDonald, during the course of his investigation, he uncovered numerous instances where law enforcement officers withheld exculpatory information, which could have exonerated Mr. Borja from the Attorney General's office. As such, the exculpatory evidence was never submitted to the grand jury. McDonald says the AG's office then agreed to join McDonald's motion to dismiss the case. Borja was convicted of federal drug charges. He recently returned to the district court to answer to violations of his supervised release conditions. It was back in 2007 that Borja pleaded guilty to possession with the intent to distribute less than 5 grams of meth. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison with credit for time already served, along with 3 years supervised release. More news after this.
Rent, lease. What does Horizon do for you? Here's a clue. Advertising, marketing, screening, inspecting, instructing, leasing and signing, collecting and complying, inquiring and assessing, coordinating, repairing, renewing, enforcing, evicting, moving, cleaning, rekeying, communicating. Do it yourself and you'll find it taxing. We work hard to keep the vacancies low, so at the end of the month, you collect the dough. Proven and trusted. Horizon Properties. We do it all. 777-7792.
Guam will see over $720 million in construction projects related to the military buildup, but the looming question is where the workers will come from to do the work. Economist Gary Hiles says the island just doesn't have enough construction workers. The Trump administration's proposed defense budget for fiscal year 2021 allocates $723 million for military construction here on Guam. Hiles estimates the projects would require 5,800 employees to work continuously for a year, or 1,900 spread out over 3 years. The Guam Contractors Association has been actively engaged in recruiting and training skilled workforce workers. President James Martinez says contractors rely on H-2B visa program workers to supplement the local workforce, but with limitations on the H-2 worker program, this is a perfect opportunity, he says, to train our local workforce. And while the U.S. Court of Appeals has essentially stated it's too late for the government of Guam to sue over the decades of toxic military dumping at the Ordot dump, the Office of the AG is not backing down. AG Levin Camacho states his office is looking at filing a petition for a rehearing, as well as asking the entire appellate court panel to hear the case again. The petition will be filed by the end of March. Camacho's adding if it's not successful, they will take the matter all the way up to the Supreme Court. The appellate court decision was issued on February 14th, stating that Guam lost the ability to file a claim because the deadline had expired. The court acknowledged the United States did deposit dangerous munitions and chemicals into the Ordot dump for decades and left Guam to foot the bill, but the deadline to sue was in 2007. Guam sued the U.S. government in 2017, suing for at least $160 million. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Thanks very much. Partly sunny and breezy with isolated showers today. Winds from the northeast, 15 to 25 miles an hour. Daytime highs today are going to be about 86 degrees. There's mostly cloudy skies, breezy and isolated showers in the forecast for this evening as well. Northeast winds to about 25 miles an hour and overnight lows of about 74 degrees. Did you say northeast winds up to 25 miles an hour? So if you're a runner, that sucks. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to enlist the aid of a friend to get somebody in your regular support crew, so you run in the opposite direction of the wind and have them come and pick you up later, right?
That is a perfect idea.
Because you don't want to have to turn around and go back and face
I was
that
cussing at the wind this morning.
25 mile an hour wind, and it didn't feel like it was that rough this morning. It's tough stuff. What's that? What Jerry Roberts? What?
Doesn't that make you stronger if you go against resistance?
No, I don't want to work that hard.
Wouldn't that improve you?
No,
isn't that what life is all about?
There's days where you want that, and trust me,
no,
there are days that you want to do that long run. There's days that you want to do those hills. There's days that you want to brace yourself against that 25 mile an hour northeast wind. Yeah, and then there's days you just want to.
And then you turn around and you're running with the wind, and then you don't feel the breeze.
Yeah. So
it's terrible. You know, you just don't.
We're just in the wrong sport. There's days that you just want to go out there and enjoy running. And just go, this is it. I just want to go and from here to there.
My favorite part is the beer at the end.
Amen to that. So that's where we got sunset. Speaking of beer at the end, the beer at the end of the day will be at 6:27. Alert the usual suspects. 6:27 tonight is when the sunset is going to be. Sunrise tomorrow, and you should be done drinking by then. Should be about 6:42, 6:41, something like that. That's news and interesting weather together here on The Point.
Hi, welcome to this ad for new Subway sliders, starting at $1.99 each. How do you want it?
Cheer squad. Woo! Go Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Woo! Give me a ham and jack slider.
Ham and jack slider.
Give me an Italian spice slider.
Italian spice slider.
What's that spell?
It doesn't really spell anything.
New Subway sliders starting at $1.99 each. Go sliders!
Subway, make it what you want.
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, Two Lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
It's the Ray Gibson Show, portions of which brought to you by American President Lines, APL Global Presence, with a local home, Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your specialty care needs. In fact, we've got cardio folks coming in a little bit later on. And when I say cardio, I don't mean like run fast on a treadmill cardio, guys. I'm talking about actual cardiologist. Carla Haddock is going to be into the studio in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
she's going to check your cardio?
No, I don't know that she's coming in to check me as much as she's going to talk about people and different things that they can do. Heart surgery stuff that they can do over at Guam Regional Medical City. Program's also brought to you by Danny's. What's today? Today is Wednesday, right? All day? All right, trash day. So what's the big deal over at Denny's on a day like today? Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's oxtail soup, and then on Wednesday, hold on a second, I got to find this here, chicken tinola. There you go. That's the big deal. All orders served with rice while supplies last. Make Denny's your new lunch spot.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
So budget season over at the legislature, huh? Have you seen that? They're all going to be getting together over at the legislature and
Lord
pouring
help
over
us now.
the 2021 budget that should start another fiscal year just down the road. Now, I know the governor had sent over her ideas for the legislation for the budget. And
It was $1 billion budget, right?
I'm pretty sure it was somewhere up around there, and some of the things that they're looking at is spending a lot of money looking at wages. And again, in the government of Guam, because you remember the last time we did the Hay study, how well that went over for everybody. Is it me, or did we just sit around and just fight over that? And the people that did the majority of the fighting, the really angry ones, ended up being the teachers that have been in there for a long time, because they
definitely
they
they're always
got a kiss.
undercut.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a kiss, but not as big as new ones, new teachers coming into the system. So there was a great deal of resistance to that one the last time we did the Hay study. And then
But I think the DOE budget now it's always taken the largest chunk of the government budget.
Largest
I think it's
agency.
somewhere around $600-700 million.
Yeah, of which they'll probably get about 300, maybe, if they're lucky, if he does it right. The idea is, you go and get some more federal dollars, go and apply for some more these block grants, and keep working really hard to get out from under the third-party fiduciary agent. 7:17 in the morning. Shall we take a look at how the markets all ended up? The last time I looked at the Dow earlier this morning, it was moving in the opposite direction. It was red, and I don't need that one to be red. I frankly want some of those numbers to come up. It's taking a second because Mercury, retrograde, all of that. So let me get you the commodities numbers. $52.05 yesterday for a barrel of West Texas crude. Today that number is $52.07. It's been trading up and down in kind of a narrow corridor. So I'm glad to see that it's still around $52 and a nickel or so. $62.15 for a barrel of Tapas yesterday. Today that same barrel, $62.83. Those are the numbers here on the commodities. Now looking at the markets, Dow Jones Industrial Average off 165 points, 29,232. The NASDAQ at 97.32. They picked up a point and a half or so. The S&P 500 closing almost 10 points lower at 3,370. FTSE is down. The Nikkei is down. Hang Seng is down. Hang Seng's down by like 430 points today, 27,530. The Shanghai index moving in the opposite direction, but not by much. And the DAX closed 102 points down, 13,681. The headline on CNBC, Lending Club buys Radius Bank for $185 million in their first fintech takeover of a regulated U.S. bank. Now, the other story that was catching everybody's attention and reason for things slowing down in the markets is Apple. We touched on this a little bit yesterday, and there's more coming out, and there are more projections into the new year for Apple, and it doesn't look good because China's a big market, and it's a big manufacturing market, big sales market as well. And if the stores aren't open, or aren't open long enough, I mean, that'll curb the sales of those fancy iPhone Pro Maxes and Apple Watch 5s. So that's turning into a big problem for them, and that is turning into a problem for the folks in the markets. Here on Guam, in terms of business, everybody got together yesterday for a big round table at the Lodi Hotel and heard just how bad things are with the coronavirus. The numbers are starting to come in, and they're ugly. We've got 15,000 cancellations so far, the majority of those from one of our primary markets out in South Korea, and so far projecting a $9 million impact. That's a $9 million loss impact for the hospitality industry here on Guam. That's a big cash register for Guam. So when we start talking about $9 million that we're not going to see, they're good. I mean, they're looking for some of the silver lining, saying, hey, January's numbers weren't that bad. Dealing with dengue back in the day wasn't a big problem, and now we've got this deal with coronavirus. And the scary thing is we don't know when it's going to end. Now, I'm going to play something on the machine there, Real Joe. So go ahead and cue this up. I've been wanting to talk to Mary Rhodes over the last few days about what her thoughts are from the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association's perch on what's going to be happening and what needs to be done. And in the write-up in the Guam Daily Post, one word: preparation. Preparation. Be prepared for a downturn. This is what it looked like and sounded like yesterday over at the Lodi Hotel. Let me see if I can click it in.
Because we all are impacted by this. As much as we don't have a case here on Guam, we are definitely feeling the impact. But we have to kind of keep things in perspective, and it is everybody's job, those are as professionals in this industry, that we help manage the situation and we work together. And by managing it, we need to know what we can control, what we can't control. And what we can't control right now is a lot of the information that I'm sure we're all inundated with. So we need to make sure that, yes, we do follow CDC, Centers for Disease Control, on this information. We're not following the World Health Organization. We do follow CDC. And so when you are sharing information with your employees or with anyone who's considered a stakeholder, or even your families, please keep in mind, of course, public health, they do share information on the CDC, and those are the protocols they do follow.
Go to them for the sources of, go to the CDC and find out how we're supposed to cough and etiquette and that kind of thing. And not so much on the Facebooks and the WhatsApps. There's a ton of disinformation and just bad information that is floating around out there. But eventually she'll get around to talking about preparation is going to be the key. Prepare. I mean, it's like a condition of readiness, right? So we've got to have an economic condition of readiness. So you know what the situation is now as businesses. What's it going to be like in a week if we're still dealing with coronavirus? What's it going to be like in 2 weeks? What will it be like in 30 days, 45 days, 60 days? So start making those out plans now and prepare as best as you possibly can.
Because people don't know what it's going to be like in 60 days.
No.
Well,
so prepare for the worst case.
Prepare for the worst, and hopefully it doesn't get there. Yeah, exactly.
Fingers crossed.
And during this time, if this is a long situation where we're dealing with it, then begin to look into your operation and what can you do in the meantime. I mean, if there's a downturn, there's going to be a cash issue, obviously. But what can you do with your people during this time? How can you get with them? How can you strengthen them? I mean, beyond this issue of the virus and health and the rest of it, what can you do internally with your teams to talk about things? And so when things get better and there's an upturn, you're stronger for the process.
If you got people in the shop right now, chances are they've earned their way to a little bit of longevity with your company because they're hard workers and maybe they've got some good ideas. Is it possible that there are markets that you are not tapping into? Or is it possible that there's money in wallets besides the Koreans, besides the Japanese, and besides even the military? There are the locals that you need to be courting here and senior citizens, among others. People, it's nobody markets to anybody over 65 anymore.
No.
You take a look at all of the advertising that you see, all of the marketing, and it's aimed at somebody that is checking the young boxes on the airplane arrivals deal. So start thinking about some of the oldsters that are still running around Guam, people in their 60s, 70s that have got money, disposable income. Kids are out of college, they're married, and we got annuities coming in, but nobody's marketing to them. Find a way to get some of these seniors in there and start talking to your people. Also a good time to start training up your people. If it's not all that busy, let's train them for other duties, other responsibilities in the shop, especially in a time where people might need to get let go of I want to say curfewed, but you know the word I'm looking for. We're going to have to lay people off. Furlough is the word I'm looking for. Thanks. So we start furloughing people. That means that the two guys you got in the shop, one of them has to learn the other guy's job, so that both of them can do it. Be on the lookout for that. Be very careful with any decisions that you make regarding your employees and certainly the safety. A reminder here from the American Job Center, they have a labor clinic for business, OSHA consultation, industrial health hazards. This will take place tomorrow from 9 a.m. until noon. Jess Pangolin is going to take you through on-site consultations providing industrial health hazard identification services to include monitoring and sampling for chemical gas, dust, and noise. So if you have any of those things in your office, dust and noise, etc., there could be an OSHA violation spinning up in your direction. While you are in consultation, it's kind of a free pass. Nobody's gonna start any trouble with you while you're working with OSHA to resolve some of these problems. So you might want to get with Jess and the guys over at the American Job Center. Call them 300-4588. Again, that's 300. The weirdest prefix on Guam, 4588. And another plug for my buddy Boris and the guys over at the PTAC. Tomorrow, federal contract opportunities at beta.sam.gov. If you haven't started looking at that every single day, maybe there's a market that you need to be thinking about for your business if those preparations need to be made. Beta.sam.gov. Learn more with a free workshop tomorrow from 9 until 10 at the Business and Public Admin Building at the University of Guam. For information, get Boris on the line. His number is 488-2151. It's 7:26 and about time for Jerry Roberts to take us through today's Extra Point, being brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the folks over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
What can we learn from the Houston Astros cheating scandal? Today, let's see if we can extract some lessons we can apply to our businesses. That's next on the Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
With a new decade, there are new opportunities. And with new opportunities, there is always a chance to say yes. Yes to that car. Yes to that business venture. Yes to that new house. With First Hawaiian Bank, it all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
When they won the 2017 World Series, the Houston Astros became an incredible story, a team that had turned itself around from a loser to reaching the pinnacle of their sport. Because of the youth of its roster, expert upon expert labeled the Astros as a coming dynasty, one that could win numerous championships. Organizations came out of the woodwork to be connected to the Astros. That was then. Now, not so much, as their new label has gone from champs to cheaters. There are things we can all learn from this ugly episode in the hope that we don't make the same kind of mistakes. The first lesson is don't destroy your credibility with your customer. When people invest their money in our products and services, they see a little bit of themselves in what we offer. They buy the ads on the point of the morning because they identify with Ray. When a leader invests in our training, they see themselves as a developer of talent, a builder of people. It's the same in your business. Customers identify with what they buy from you. A brand and what it stands for rubs off a little bit on our customer, and that's a good thing. That is, until you do what the Astros did. A lot of people in Houston are extremely unhappy with the team because they're embarrassed over the scandal and how they were head over heels in love with that team, only to find that their devotion wasn't earned. Some will never come back, and the ones who do return may never allow themselves the kind of emotional attachment that they had before. What if that was your customer, and something you did caused them to withdraw from you in that fashion? What if you were facing a reality where people who used to cheer you on are no longer there, and the ones who stick with you aren't nearly as enthusiastic as they once were? The next lesson is having the sense to apologize when you should. The Astros failed miserably with the sorry test. They only turned to the idea of apologizing when their denials no longer worked. Third lesson, if you say you're sorry, be sorry and make people believe you are sorry. This was the worst example of fake remorse I've ever seen. The most shocking thing is that this attempt to convince everybody that the players were sorry and had learned their lesson was after the team had several weeks to plan it out, choreographing every move. The fourth lesson, don't ever be defiant with what you actually did and say that what you actually did wasn't such a big deal. This is totally disrespectful to those who were wronged. Astros owner Jim Crane has said over and over that he feels the cheating had little impact on the World Series and his team winning it. I believe he'll regret that statement for the rest of his life. Besides teaching us what to avoid, there is an upside here, another upside. Marketing students will be studying this PR disaster forever, dissecting every stupid move the Astros have made. And you know, it ain't over yet. But maybe we can take some of these lessons, learn from them, get further, and do better. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Man, fake apologies. You get that from people, and I love the idea that it was choreographed. Can you imagine? These probably went to an agent somewhere, one of these fixers, and what's your problem? And this is how we did it for the Clintons, and this is what we can do. This is
exactly what happened
for you. All right, 7:31. Jerry Roberts in the studio, and I've got something like a statement from the folks over at the Guam Power Authority, and what happened yesterday. It's I suppose just how you look at it. What did I refer to as a glitch, right? Or power outage or something like that. But the word I got, it wasn't a power surge yesterday. There was unscheduled outages, specifically under frequency load shedding. We'll talk about MEC 9 and that kind of thing coming up here in just a second. Somebody from inside GPA heard us talking about it and said, okay, well, here's the splains. This is the 411 on that, and I'll explain all of that stuff in a couple of minutes. 7:31 in the morning, that's the time. Jerry Roberts is taking care of the extra point, and it's time for us to take care of some headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Lolita Kemet of Remax Diamond Realty brings you this newscast. For all of your real estate needs, please ring her up today. 688-6743. That's 688-6743 for Auntie Lolita Kemet at Remax Diamond Realty. Now with news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Montesilva Tyron.
The defense for the Mark Torrey Jr. trial wants his case dismissed, saying that the court violated his right to a speedy trial. But the prosecution says there is no delay, and if there is one, it's caused by the motions filed by the defense. The prosecution is opposing Torrey's request to dismiss. Torrey's been charged with negligent homicide in 2015 in the shooting death of Sergeant Bert Piolo. A hearing on the motion to toss the case out will be held the day after tomorrow. No criminal charges will be filed against a Guam police officer accused of police brutality. That from the Attorney General's office, which completed an investigation into Officer Joey Uggan. The investigation was prompted after a cell phone video captured Uggan striking an arrestee. The AG's investigation, however, showed that the officer's actions were justified and there is no probable cause to charge him with a crime. And the Trump administration's proposed defense budget for fiscal year 2021 allocates $723 million for military construction on Guam, but there is worry over the lack of skilled labor workforce workers. Economists have estimated the projects will require 5,800 employees. The Guam Contractors Association says this is a perfect opportunity to train our local workforce. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, pick up a copy of the paper, log on to their website at postguam.com.
I'll go if you go. I'll go for training in the construction industry if you go.
I could do it.
I want to be in the construction industry where you get to work inside the air conditioning. Is that? Do they have that? I want to.
Maybe plumbing.
Well, I don't know, because you think the guys that are doing the work over at Tsubaki Towers, they're probably doing those in the unair conditioned rooms until all of the fixtures go in. So I don't know about that one in particular. That's the thing, isn't it? Isn't it?
Maybe
so we said, let's train up our workforce.
You paint with the aircon on, right?
We've trained our guys in the workforce, and you know what they do as soon as they get that certification? Fly to Florida. They're always fixing something in Florida. In the Gulf states, because they always got those hurricanes coming through, there's always construction and reconstruction going on in the states at dollars that are way better than here. So if you're going to work in the construction trade, work someplace where it's like working in air conditioning, because it's 45 degrees outside, and they're paying you some decent dough.
There's also a career in the HVAC, in the aircon repair
there
industry,
always has been.
Because there will always be air conditioning on Guam.
So I got
always be a need for a repair guy.
The last time I had an issue with my air conditioning, and it wasn't a big issue. It's not like compressor or the freons or whatever flying out into the atmosphere. It's just that they're it started filling up with water. It wasn't draining properly, and
so it needs to be cleaned.
So it needed to be cleaned. So I called the place and I said, okay, I'd like to have somebody come by and take a look at my air conditioner and clean the snotty part of the air conditioning water out. And the lady said, yeah, okay, no problem. We can be there. And this, mind you, this is Monday. I said, okay, well, we can be there maybe Friday. I think Friday we can do something. Yeah, they're that busy around here, and it was not quite the summer months, but still I got water dripping down the bottom of this thing, and I had to move furniture around. It was a great inconvenience, but if that's all you got, then that's all you got. You catch the water. You put a towel down or something like that, because you know that that's going to be your life until this guy has got the 10 minutes it's going to take for him to put the ladder up, snake the rod through the hole, and get the thing running clean again. 7:35 in the morning. Yeah. Get the kids trained for all of that stuff, because that's going to be $1 million industry. 7:35 in the morning, and let's call that iConnect time. Run to the nearest iConnect and learn how they can get you some lower prices on your mobile, internet, and push-to-talk plans.
Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty, a friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional who is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, military, and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kamet from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his smile team. Suite 119 in the East West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his smile team.
They make smiles happen.
Yeah, this will put a smile on your face. Swing by Mescla. They're a couple of different locations. One in Agana. They got one in Tumon down in the Grand Plaza Hotel where Valerie is. They've one of their featured specials, and this was so good before that they brought it back. It is the shrimp hash parrotfish, succulent parrotfish. Then it crusted over with a shrimp farce. And you're going, Ray, you made up that word. No, I did not make up that word. If I'd have made it up, it would have sounded more local. So anyway, it's a shrimp farce. They twice cook it, served over basil-laced sweet potato croquettes and a crab and corned beef sauce. Visit Mescla in Agana and now in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. Reservations can be made by calling 969-2652.
Howdy, folks. I'm back with my KFC Sriracha Extra Tasty Crispy Chicken. Yep, we kicked up our peak of chicken a notch with Sriracha.
Woo! Sriracha!
It's spicy, tangy, and sweet. You've never had Sriracha like this before, so spice up your next meal with KFC's new Sriracha Crispy Chicken. Also available in boneless crispy strips. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
It's 7:38 right now. Traffic here on the point. Not real good looking coming in from the Agana Shopping Center side. That whole intersection there looks like it's backing up as you're headed towards the front of the Agana Shopping Center, Shirley's area. And we've got traffic that is backing up from about where the swimming pool is towards that intersection as well. So not pretty. If you can avoid that right now, then my suggestion is you please do so. A little bit of traffic on Roy T. Demion Street should open up by the time you get up to the old Rainbow intersection. And that will meet up with traffic over by Venue side and the Pokey Fry side. So watch out for some delays through there. Car line over in the Harbor side starting to get a little bit busy, and traffic in both directions over at the intersection. It's not really an intersection, but it just slows things down around there for some reason. Over by the subway on Route 8. That's going to meet up with traffic both directions leading up to 8, 10, and 16, and you'll see traffic slowing down in all roads leading to 8, 10, and 16. 10 and 15, that intersection over by the church and the mayor's office in Mangilao running slower than usual here today, and traffic coming up Route 4 towards the intersection of 4 and 10 also running a little bit slower. Do I even want to look at Dedido and Gigo right now? No. Ipao, Woostig Road area all the way in to meet up with Waisang Song running very, very slow here this morning. Not saying it's a standstill. I'm just saying it's going to take you some time to get through there. 7:39 is the time here on The Point.
Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Hafaday, this is Congressman Michael Nicholas. Our veterans deserve the best, and I'm working hard to make sure they receive what they earned defending our freedom. If you need help receiving the benefits you earned from the VA or the Defense Department, please call my office at 475-6453 or go online at stnicholas.house.gov. On behalf of a grateful community, thank you for your service.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael St. Nicholas.
Cocoa Coffee Company is now available at Circle K. Single origin coffee beans carefully sourced and locally roasted to give you the freshest cup of coffee Guam has to offer. Grab a cup that's brewed every 30 minutes or purchase a bag of the locally roasted whole beans. Flavors now serving: light medium roasted Ethiopia and medium dark roasted Jamaican Blue Mountain. Exclusively available at Circle K. With every Cocoa Coffee Company purchase, a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Cocoa Recovery Program.
Some interesting conversation. As I mentioned, a couple of the stories that Mana's been talking about this morning in the headlines and the press conference that took place at the Attorney General's office yesterday. It certainly has got people divisive on social media because many people remember their first instincts when they first saw the video. I certainly do. Looked at it and said, "That cop's out of line. Look at that. Civil rights violation. Just smacked a guy. He's a helpless guy. He's got handcuffs in the back of him, smacks him in the stomach, and then shoves him in the car." The more I've heard about it from actual law enforcement professionals and people that train law enforcement professionals, it looked bad. Apparently, it looks worse than it really is.
No, we didn't see the entire video, right?
And we did not see the entire video, start to finish, and all of that. I mean, it must have been something unnerving for people that were in the area. I mean, just from the beginning of the story, where you've got somebody that is drunk and disorderly on the beach, and he's looking around trying to get into fights with random people, and yeah, I'd whip my phone out too just to see where this is eventually going to end up. But from somebody that I know, a trusted friend in the department, and knows a thing or two about training and escalation of force in some of these situations, talking about what we saw on the video. The arm movement was more of a side chopping rather than a straight lead punch. Considering the door and the space between the suspect, a punch would have shown the elbow cocking back rather than in that side cutting motion. Says open palm strikes in the Academy's defensive tactics training. That's a very, very common move. And if he used a closed fist in a side strike, you're not going to have enough power for the actual effect that you're looking for. And since there's no evidence of bruising with a closed blade or hand or knuckles, it was a chopping technique. And something else, he says, it's one of those things, VIP protection, bodyguards.
Let me try it out on you and see if it hurts.
Huh? What?
Let me try. Come on, Joe. Come over.
I agree, sir. I mean, if you see the hip movement of the officer, it dictates a chopping movement. It's kind of like
as
what
opposed
Caesar,
to a straight punch.
Caesar the dog whisperer does when he's trying to redirect the dog from being naughty.
You've been through the training, though. I mean, did they go through that with you? And
yeah.
Yeah, so
it's mostly chopping, open hand stuff.
Okay, and it said they use that in VIP protection training because what will happen is if there's a shootout, if there's some kind of a confrontation, oftentimes the VIP will go into panic mode and not go down. You want the guy down where a bullet is less likely to hit him, and move the center of mass out of the way of where a bullet might be coming from. And if the guy's in panic mode, the bodyguard will smack him in the stomach one time, get him to crunch down, and then move him out of the way. So it's a lot of different uses for that.
You hear some of the crazy, crazy stories that these officers respond to, and you just, the human side of me thinks, yeah, some of these guys deserve a little bit of jungle justice. So I don't know.
No,
I don't want to defend the action
I feel exactly
any sort
the same way.
Police brutality, but hey, if it were my daughter and my daughter was involved in a situation, or my son, and
So this is strange. Keena McCausland, you remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about her sending over some of those new Doritos chips?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently they were confiscated in Hawaii.
What?
That's what it
Why?
said. I don't know. And then she says, so my Doritos chips was confiscated in Hawaii.
For coronavirus?
I don't know. Coronavirus, could it be?
Somebody who was in China touched the bags?
I don't know. It's crazy.
Too spicy?
Extra spicy. Maybe they're keeping it for themselves out there. All right, what have I got here? Senators introduce a bill to protect 2,000 acres of Guam's forests and watersheds. Sabina Flores-Perez and Senator Clint Rigel. Clint's on the line right now. Good morning, Clint.
Hi, good morning, Ray.
How you doing there, bud?
Good morning, Senator.
Good.
We're waiting for our petition to sign.
Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
We're waiting for your petition. Bring it to the radio station so we can sign it for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you are running again, right?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic.
Hey, have you heard that Telena is not running?
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
You have not heard that. Okay, I heard that. I heard that. That's my rumor of the day. Yesterday's rumor was that we were going to sell or lease out the airport in order to find the money for the new hospital.
Oh, wow, I didn't hear that one.
Well, I only talked about it a dozen times yesterday. What, were you busy?
Yeah, I didn't catch your show yesterday. I apologize.
You know, it's on video on demand too, so if you miss it in real time, you can check on it later. You know, while the kids are eating dinner, while your wife is feeding the family, you can just sit down and watch the show. Better in video on demand because you can fast forward through the boring parts. Anyway, so we've got a bill here, a couple of bills to protect 2,000 acres of Guam's forests and watersheds. You know me, I'm lazy, so give me the cliff notes on what this legislation does and what specifically it's going to protect that's not already being protected by other treaties and departments and agencies.
Sure, yeah. It's basically just, you know what, can I fix my phone real quick? I've got this echo thing. One moment.
No problem.
Hello.
See, Mercury is in retrograde. Even Clint's phone is giving him a hard time.
Okay, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I got you 5x5.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so what it is the bill sets aside some Guam property. It's about 2,000 acres that are already sort of, sitting kind of idle. They were supposed to be put aside for Department of Agriculture to develop a forest system. So it's kind of similar to how the U.S. developed national forest. And so there's some properties down south, kind of like in the one area is in the Bolaños area, which is like the mountain area down and stuff.
No, this is whatever you did, Clint, to fix your phone didn't work.
It's even worse.
Yeah. There's no echo on your side, but now you're cutting out on my side, and I worry for the listeners that they're not going to be able to enjoy the true nuances of the conversation. Tell you what, I got some folks coming in about 8:30, and I got some folks coming in about 9. But let's see if we can get together again and talk about this because it's interesting the conversation about these forest systems and them being set aside. Does this prevent anything from ever happening to them in the future?
Yes. Would make it basically a protected forest.
All right. So once we've designated these lands, nobody's going to be able to develop on them. Nobody's going to be able to do anything other than walk around.
Right.
Okay. In a lot of cases, I'll bet you I won't have a problem with that as long as my ability to walk around them with my hiking buddies is not otherwise affected. We'll talk about this a little bit more.
These are in some spots where people go hiking or they go hunting and things like that. It's not really in spots that I know of anyone eyeing for development. Kind of the ones down south are kind of like tucked away.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to continue the conversation. I got just too many cuts in and out. 293-35 seeks to add the Pagat cave site in Jigu to the forest system plan for the conservation of the limestone forest up north. The forests, of which approximately 10% remain, are a natural wonder that took millennia to evolve, and where our endemic plant and animal species are found, it's critical we nurture and protect our environmentally and culturally significant regions. By protecting our lands, we also preserve historical artifacts in place and maintain a crucial connection to our past. We cannot risk losing this connection to our ancestors. The historic natural character of our lands must be retained and preserved. I hope that on top of designating these areas, I hope there's also, we'll use the E word again, if for no other reason, because I know it annoys people when we start throwing around over at the legislature. It's the easiest thing in the world to create a law. What do you need? You need come up with the idea, write it down, go through a couple of public hearings, get 7 other people to vote in favor of it, and maybe we'll send it up to the governor. And the governor's not going to look at this and say, I don't want to protect the lands. I don't want to be the governor that doesn't want to protect Pagat Caves, so she'll sign off on it. Now, what I would like to read in this is whether or not it will provide to aquatic and wildlife resources, agriculture, and the Park Service adequate numbers of people that can enforce the protection of these lands. Have you ever been to Pagat?
I sure have.
You've been down the Pagat Trail recently? When was the last time that you were there?
2012.
In 2012. All right, so it's been a while. I was there, I don't know, let's call it 6 or 7 months ago, doing some hiking in that area. And it's you can tell when you're getting close to the road because of all of the crap that has been thrown on the side of the road. There's abandoned vehicles leading up to the trailhead. There's all of these things, and so it's one of those where I'm going, great, we've identified, who's going to say that we should not find ways to protect these lands? And then we'll say we've protected the lands, we've got the legislation, and the governor signed off on it. We got 2,000 acres of Guam's forests and watersheds that are now going to be maintained in a pristine state until a bunch of people figure out that that's a good place to dump my Pampers and my old refrigerator and the old car. We're just going to leave it there on the side of the road. When you start walking in the trailhead, at least in the case where I was, it's not too far. It's not too hard to stay on trail there because there's just so much crap. They got plastic bottles of tea and cans, beer cans and stuff like that. And the same thing over at Marlboro Caves. When I was growing up, you could not get there by car. You had to, anybody knows that old Nelson property down there. It was a slog down to the bottomland and a slog back up to the trailhead when you were done. And then somebody decided that they wanted to put some kind of a development down there and pave the roads almost right up to the place. And it's sad. It is sad because they got to go in there and clean the place up all the time. And who's messing it? Who's messing it? Yeah, 3 guesses. Who's in charge of messing all of that stuff up? So in my mind, I'm liking it. It looks good. Looks like it picks out some of the same things that I would pick out for conservation and preservation. But unless it's got some kind of enforcement to keep people clean, to some trail etiquette, if you will, and just don't stop dumping trash out just because you can't be seen from the main roadway.
Have you been down to 1,000 Steps?
I have never been to 1,000 Steps in my life.
Well, you'll find it when you see all the trash.
Exactly. So
right
you
before
follow the trash and
trailhead.
it'll take you to the trail.
It's terrible. And then it's a really nice steps all the way down to the ocean. It's on the same side of Marlboro.
Yeah, the guy that writes the hiking thing in the Guam Daily Post, he was writing about that last week, and I was encouraged to want to take a trip down 1,000 Steps. Where does that finally end up? The beach, right?
Yeah, down by the water. I think it's a little past Fidian Point where they have that fishery, that I don't know if it's agriculture fishery, but way before Marble Cave.
Yeah.
It's on the right.
And tell you what, I'm going to say, don't feel bad about having never been to 1,000 Steps. There's a bunch of places, and it's only been recently that I've been a part of a hiking community around here. It's only recently that I've been able to see some of just the most gorgeous things out in the boondocks there.
There's some beaches that I've never ever heard of too.
So, well, I was down in Umatic,
That's right. I've
in
never
Umatic
even
Bay, and this is the first time in my life I'd ever been down here. And one of the things,
even from the boat, I didn't even recognize that there was a beach there.
Right. I thought it was just a cliff. I thought, you go up to the what is it, the forts, and it's a sheer drop, or it looks like a sheer drop, and you think there's nothing down there but crashing waves. And then you can actually hike down. There's a trail behind the fort that you can get down if you can get past the little fire ants. You can get actually down to the beach, and then you just continue walking south, and you are in, I'm not kidding, paradise.
Wow.
Now on the other side of the other side where
I wonder if you could walk to Auntie Debbie's house from there.
Probably. You probably can. On the other side of the fort, there's another spot that you can get yourself into right around the way. And me and some buddies were traveling through there. I might actually have some pictures of it. It looks like you've got the coral and you've got the La Masa down there, and mostly flat in a lot of the areas. And you've got these little built-up, look like pylons. About every 20 feet or so is it looks like it blends in really well with the rest of the coral that you've got down there. And until you start looking at it and realize that's man-made.
Stone balancing.
It's not stone balancing. I mean, it looks like the mamposta. It looks like they found a way to get some kind of concreting thing down there. And you look in there, and there's shells that didn't get in there by themselves. There's pottery that didn't get in there by itself. And I'm wondering what it was somewhere since the Spaniards were down there to today, what those things were.
I heard that's where they put the lepers.
I thought that was EPAL.
That's what I heard. Well, down in the south.
7:55.
That's what I heard.
Somebody will know the answer. The people that I was with, we were just
It was
speculating.
actually my husband who shared that with me.
That
and
there
he's
were
from
there
the
were
south.
lepers there. Okay, I don't know. Maybe somebody does. 888-8255. Now I wanted to bring in Mary Rhodes. I tried to play the video a little bit earlier, but I could not get to the part where you said preparations are necessary for a downturn, and I'm glad that we've got you on the line. Good morning, Mary.
Hi, good morning.
Wow, you've got an echo in there as well, don't you?
Sorry, say that again?
No, it's okay. It's all right. Anyway, so we're working through Mercury being in retrograde and communications difficulties as a result of that. But if you would, give me a little bit of the speech that you gave before the gathered crowd yesterday over at Lotte.
Oh, basically, it's just an update on everything that's been going on. And, this is a fluid process. Because as the coronavirus continues to change, and there hasn't been a final development as far as the vaccination, I know that there are a lot of considerations of what people are considering a cure or an answer to it. We're part of the U.S., and so we're still subject to the FDA rules on testings and what can be considered a solution to the coronavirus. So it's a longer window really for us.
Yeah.
Especially since we don't even have the test kits on Guam yet.
The impact is already visible. If you're down in Tumon and you're talking to hoteliers and restaurateurs down there, the number of cancellations is, I'd say, alarming, 15,000, and the impact of those cancellations, they've calculated that to be about $9 million. We'll round that up to $10 million here in a couple of days. But one of the things that I keep pouncing on in my thoughts, and it's nice that in terms of institutional knowledge, this isn't your first term as the boss of the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. We've all been through this before, and maybe it's just a question of breaking out some notebooks from the last time we were in crisis mode on arrivals and cancellations. Bird flu.
Well, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I looked at the numbers, and with SARS worldwide, outbound travel was 28%, down by 28%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what the message I kept relaying is we're not in a panic mode. We're not in a crisis mode yet. I think that the message is clear that we're still coronavirus free, but we are being impacted by total outbound travel in general being down.
Right.
And so when that happens, everybody needs to start preparing, because as the arrivals go down, other things are impacted with sales, like occupancy and even pricing and an average daily rate on how they have to compete with other markets in Southeast Asia where we compete, and even with Hawaii. So how do we continue to keep our market share when total outbound is going down? And we've been challenged with this even with the North Korea crisis, and that was an example I gave.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an outbreak situation, but we're finally seeing Japan arrivals go up after 2 to 3 years, and those were after double-digit decreases. So we're still not at the number we were at prior to the North Korea crisis.
Keeping things in perspective, yeah, the look at the numbers does make a whole lot of sense. I was thinking about ways that we might be able to mitigate this. There's not much you can do about outbound travel, even if you had the zillions of dollars in marketing that we wish we had.
Correct.
So what do we do about making sure that we can continue to still stand up our businesses here on Guam? I don't know that I've got time to deep dive into that. I might just see if we can ring you up before 8:30. I got to break away for news now.
Okay.
All right, but I'll talk to you soon. Is it Mary Rhodes from the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association? And it's, as we were talking about with Jerry Roberts, there's markets here that nobody is marketing to, and you might want to consider those guys when you're putting your next big ads together to get locals into your store. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. This is The Point.
Brady, Fox News. President Trump commuting the corruption sentence of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich while pardoning others today, but not longtime associate Roger Stone, as he denies interfering with the sentencing guidelines in that case and defends Attorney General William Barr.
I think he's doing an excellent job. He's a strong guy. I never spoke to him about the Roger Stone situation.
Stone is scheduled for sentencing on Thursday. The president's also been tweeting today about former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, calling him Mini Mike and accusing him of trying to buy the Democratic nomination. This as Bloomberg moves up in the polls and qualifies for the latest debate tomorrow night in Las Vegas.
Michael Bloomberg will finally be face-to-face with the other candidates vying for the Democratic presidential nomination thanks to a new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll out today. The poll shows Senator Bernie Sanders in the lead with 31% and Bloomberg at 19%, followed by former Vice President Joe Biden at 15% and Senator Elizabeth Warren at 12%.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. President Trump is heading west for a 4-state swing that includes a rally on the eve of this Saturday's caucuses in Nevada. The first day of jury deliberations at the Harvey Weinstein rape trial just wrapping up in New York. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, after deliberating through lunch, the jury sent a second note to the judge requesting details on evidence. One request was for a blueprint of Weinstein's Manhattan apartment. The other was for emails related to certain women with ties to Weinstein. The 7-man, 5-woman jury has been discussing Weinstein's guilt or innocence on 5 charges, including rape and predatory sexual assault. The most serious of these charges could land Weinstein in prison for life. The defense says the encounters were consensual. The jury, now done for the day, will resume tomorrow, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. America's listening to Fox News.
If you own a Toyota, please listen to this. It could help you avoid injury, maybe save your life. The Takata airbags installed in certain Toyotas can explode and shoot out sharp metal fragments at people inside the vehicle. You don't need to be in a collision. They could explode any time. In the U.S., these airbags have caused 26 deaths. There's been a worldwide recall of Takata airbags, and most have had the faulty parts replaced. But here in Guam, there are still over 3,000 Toyotas on the road with potentially lethal airbags, and yours could be one of them. So please, take your Toyota to Atkins Grow, even if you didn't buy it from us, and get the inflator replaced. It costs you nothing, it takes just about an hour, and it could save a life, yours or someone you love. The AK song says we're here for life. That's never been more true.
At Atkins Grow, we're here.
The U.S. has more cases of the new coronavirus coming from a cruise ship quarantined in Japan.
While several hundred cruise ship evacuees settle into a new 2-week quarantine at military bases, a dozen evacuees who contracted the coronavirus are being monitored at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. But back on board the Diamond Princess, another 99 people have contracted the COVID-19 virus, bringing the total number to 542. Scientists say it's clear the quarantine did not work, and an investigation is needed to find out why the ship became so toxic.
Fox's Claudia Cowan at Travis Air Force Base in Northern California, where a 2-week quarantine is now ended for the first group of Americans evacuated from Wuhan, China, earlier this month. Russia says it's temporarily banning Chinese nationals from entering the country beginning Thursday. The number of cases of COVID-19 worldwide now tops 73,000, most still in China. And the spread of the virus and its potential impact on many industries still rattling the markets. The Dow down 166, third loss in a row. The NASDAQ, though, up a point to a new closing high. There's a movement in part of Oregon to become part of Idaho instead.
A group called Move Oregon's Border for Greater Idaho is going around to 18 different southern and eastern counties and asking for approval for a ballot title. It would allow those counties to leave Oregon and become part of Idaho. Group President Mike McCarter says once they have that, they will gather signatures to put it on the ballot in each county.
This is not a political movement. This is urban versus rural, and it's a value.
movement that's taking place.
He says they value the Second Amendment, lower taxes, and are not in favor of sanctuary city policies. And they think Idaho will better represent them.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal says session would need approval from both state legislatures and Congress. Elisa Brady, this is Fox News.
Half a day. This is Alicia Blas from Security Title with a gentle reminder that your first installment of property taxes is due February 20. You might not know, but if you purchase property after March 4, 2019, you most likely will not receive a tax bill in the mail, but you still owe the tax. To make payment, take a copy of your deed to Revenue Tax in Barrigada and ask for the tax bill. When it comes to your family land, call the professionals at Security Title. We are here to help.
Chili's 2 for $25 is back. Start with an appetizer to share. Then choose 2 entrees like our mouth-watering Old Timer with cheeseburger or the Cajun chicken pasta, grilled chicken with penne and Alfredo sauce, and chili spices. Feeling extra? Upgrade to a personal fajita or our famous half-rack ribs. Bring a friend or a date to Chili's and get 2 entrees for $25. Located on the 2nd floor of Tumong Sands Plaza. Chili's. More life happens here.
Yikes, are those Christmas bills coming in? Wait, hold on, that was last month. Now it's this month. But by popular demand, we're extending our New Year's solution 4.65% personal loan through February. Money for whatever you want at 4.65% APR from Bank Pacific. We're still celebrating.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal credit opportunity lender as low as 4.65%. Conditions apply.
Half a day, it's 8:06. I'm Mona Silva Tyron with a look at your local news from the Guam Daily Post. Now more than 15,000 cancellations, and the Guam Visitors Bureau is bracing for an even further decline in tourist arrivals. The cancellations so far amount to a loss of $9.1 million in revenues in the tourist industry. GVB President Pilar Laguatna says the cancellations are of bookings between the months of February and April, all due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. Each cancellation includes air travel, hotel accommodations, and tours. Hotel and Restaurant Association President Mary Rhodes says that they have to prepare for the decline in all aspects of the economy. A briefing was held yesterday with travel and health officials to address the COVID-19 and its current impact on the industry. Even outbound travel seeing a huge decline. Public Health Medical Director Jana Maglotnia says for the Guam community, probably the biggest concern is our resources are finite, so our best line of defense is to just keep it out. A bill that will give the Guam Memorial Hospital an infusion of cash was signed into law yesterday. Bill 210, authored by Senator Therese Cherlahi, gives $10 million for an electronic health record system at the Guam Memorial Hospital and other urgent repairs there. This, of course, pending the availability of additional funds. Cherlahi says the Army Corps of Engineers, in their preliminary outbrief, made it clear that whether we build a new hospital or repair the current one, costs for the repair projects for the existing facility should be incorporated to obtain and maintain accreditation. Some of the immediate needs at GMH include the leaking roof, faulty electrical system, the elevators, and the need for a new electronic medical record system. While the U.S. Court of Appeals has essentially stated it's too late for the government of Guam to sue over the decades of toxic military dumping at the Ordot dump, the Office of the AG is not backing down and says that they will even file a petition in the Supreme Court if necessary. Attorney Levin Camacho says that his office is looking at filing a petition for a rehearing as well as asking the entire appellate court to hear the case again. The appellate court decision was issued on February 14th. It states that Guam lost the ability to file a claim because it missed its deadline. The court acknowledged that the United States did deposit dangerous munitions and chemicals into the Ordot dump for decades, leaving Guam to foot the bill, but the deadline to sue was in 2007. Guam sued, however, in 2017, arguing that the Navy was responsible for the Ordot dump's contamination and seeking to recoup its costs for closing the dump and opening a new one. Guam did sue for at least $160 million. More news after this.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
No criminal charges will be filed against a Guam police officer who was accused of police brutality. That's from the AG, which completed an investigation into Officer Joey Uggan. The investigation prompted after a cell phone video was captured and circulated through social media. It showed Uggan striking an arrestee while he was handcuffed and being placed into a patrol vehicle. Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley says as egregious as the video appeared, the AG's investigation showed that the officer's actions were justified and there is no probable cause to file criminal charges. O'Malley says it was determined that the individual was resisting arrest and refusing to get into the back of the car. That's when the open palm slap to the abdomen was seen, and it was perfectly allowed under police rules. He adds it's almost the most minimal use of force to gain compliance. The man was being placed under arrest after he allegedly attempted to punch a lifeguard and threatened other people on the beach. He is also alleged to have resisted arrest. And almost all of the delays leading up to the Mark Torrey Jr.'s second trial were the defendant's own doing, according to the Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley. The prosecution is opposing Torrey's request to dismiss the case. He filed his opposition in the Superior Court of Guam. He'd been charged with negligent homicide in the 2015 shooting death of Sergeant Bert Piolo. Defense attorney Jay Arreola had argued that the court violated Torrey's right to a speedy trial when it didn't begin the trial within 60 days after Torrey had asserted his right to it. O'Malley asked the court to deny Torrey's request, stating the defendant's 60-day clock on his speedy trial rights did not begin until November 25th and stopped on December 31st when the defense filed a motion to exclude testimony from the first trial. O'Malley contends that the clock definitely stopped on January 9th when the jury selection began. Torrey is scheduled to be back in court to argue the motions. The scheduled hearing is for February 21st. And those are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
No, I'm actually getting instructions here on how to test out the stomach smack thing.
Oh, is that what you were doing?
Was I doing that?
Yeah.
I did that? Okay, I must have while I was reading the thing. So all right, so my instructor says if you want to test the effect of the open palm strike, hold a pillow, head level. Joe, got a pillow in there?
No, I never sleep in here.
Have Mana slap the pillow. After that, place the pillow or the cushion on the stomach area. Have Mana slap it. You will notice the difference of power from the upper extremities and the lower extremities. The reason I want...
I'm not going to do it gently.
The reason I want Mana to do the strike is women have powerful slaps.
Oh.
Yeah, see, yeah. I see what you're now. You know, aside from what might make for interesting sibling response one to the other. It'd be fun. I think especially for the younger sister to smack the older one. Mm-hmm. Unabashedly, unashamedly, and at apparently the request of somebody that is an instructor in these kinds of things. Yeah, I'm not going there. It's 8:13 in the morning.
How about the elbow? I'll do the elbow.
We're not doing elbows. Partly sunny and breezy. I'll do the hammer. How's that? Partly sunny and breezy with isolated showers. Winds out of the northeast up to about 25 miles per hour. Daytime highs today should be about 86 degrees. For tonight, mostly cloudy. More breezes and isolated showers. Expected northeast winds to about 25 miles an hour. Overnight lows, 74 degrees. Take your pillow and smack it upside somebody's head for sunset tonight. That's going to be at 18:27. It says. I'll translate that for you. For the impaired, it is 6:27 tonight for sunset. So you know where the great spots are going to be to look out for it. You might want to investigate some different spots. And I tell you where there's a place where I would like to go and watch the sunset. And maybe one of these days I'm going to do that. Is that infinity pool that they have over at the Sheraton?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Yeah. It's got to be absolute. But I want to do it from inside the ocean. I want to do it from inside the infinity pool and just kind of, elbows out there and then watch the sun go down. Can you bring beer in that pool? Are you allowed? It's allowed, right?
I think as long as it's not a glass bottle.
No, and they don't have those there. I'm almost positive that anytime I'd ever seen anybody order something that didn't come in an actual can, that it was in some kind of a plastic container. 8:14 in the morning, that's news and weather together. This is The Point.
Denny's is making lunchtime a little more special. Every Monday through Friday, they serve a variety of local favorite soups, such as chicken adobo on Mondays, oxtail soup on Tuesdays and Thursdays, chicken tinola on Wednesdays, and pork sinigang on Fridays, while supplies last. All orders are served with rice. Senior citizens get a special menu, which includes a free soup or salad. Make Denny's your new lunch spot, located in Tamuning and the Micronesia Mall.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
We buy a homeowner's policy and never give it another thought until something happens. Life brings changes, and our coverage needs can change. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Here at APL, our expertise and extensive network can help you grow your business and reach out to more markets. As a responsible carrier, APL is also committed to a sustainable future, whether it's protecting the environment or investing our efforts in giving back to the community. Our dedicated team in Guam and on the U.S. mainland are here to support you. So call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com.
Whose birthday is it today?
Danielle. Happy
Danielle.
birthday. Our Danielle.
Our Danielle Adams is celebrating a birthday today. I don't know how old she is.
Maybe about 20?
How old is she?
20-ish?
20-ish. Okay. Well, happy
about
birthday
20.
to you, Danielle. 8:16 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. What was I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be doing stuff here and now, right? The live commercials.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I didn't want to tell you what to do.
Smart. The portions of the program brought to you by American President Lines. Global presence with a local home. The guys over at Denny's, where they've always got, as the girl said, all kinds of cool stuff that they want you to eat there. Local menu, you will only find these. You can only find these on the Denny's menu here on Guam because they're big on localizing and making things special for us. Shrimp egg foo young, salted egg salad, grilled eggplants. Like eggplants, they got eggplants with ground beef. You like stuff with tofu in it? They can tofu omelet for you over at the Denny's. You cannot find this anywhere else except the Denny's here on Guam. Take Care offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage you and your friends to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Don't have any friends? Make some new ones with these. Preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing, and unwinding, and being socially connected. So you can get in like these Zumba classes, gym classes, and stuff like that, and make a whole new batch of friends to play with. 8:17.
Morning talk that matters. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
All right, so maybe our chips have not been confiscated. Maybe they haven't been confiscated. Keena says it's almost 3 weeks since she's sent them out to us, and they're still not here.
Did she get a tracking number?
I'm sure she didn't put a tracking number for a bag of potato chips.
Everything you stick in the mail has a
Does it? Now, I thought that was just part of the insurance or something like that.
No.
I so rarely ever send anything in the U.S. mail because, frankly, everybody I need to send something to lives around here. 8:18 in the morning, and Keena, we'll certainly keep an eye out for that. I think the lady with the mail gets in a little bit later on this morning. Richard Clark is online. Gus Castro DeSangus says the program is coming in loud and clear. In Houston, Texas, Scott Nelson, Kaz Endo's online. Kaz, I'm loving the pictures of the Z car that you have pretty much rebuilt, actually back on the road. Nice to see those things. Kaz says factories in China closed too. That's affecting manufacturing. Delays, and that's going to be a loss of revenue for a lot of people whose businesses are based on products that you can only find from China. Renee Lau is there. I got the Juan Carlos Benitez is online. Gene Uggan Martinez says, no more apple a day keeps the doctor away. The new in thing is a beer a day keeps the doctor away. Gene, look it up because it seems to me the whole apple a day thing keeps the doctor away. There is no therapeutic value to that. I read somewhere that was a marketing campaign.
Oh.
That was the
Well, that's a
Apple
good thing.
industry of the world coming up with a catchy phrase that seemed to take. Now, there's another one, and if you think that's interesting, there's also another one of these deals that I read on the internet about diamonds, and how it wasn't until somebody, I think from the De Beers company, said, we're not selling enough diamonds around here. It wasn't, for many years, diamonds were just, it's another rock. It wasn't until they, turned it into some, must-have for weddings and things like that via some clever marketing that diamonds became a must-have.
They are forever.
Forever. Yeah,
Well, I
diamonds
think
are
because the
forever.
insurgence of cubic zirconia came up, and you could hardly tell the difference unless you're a jeweler.
The geologist, yeah, something like that. Florence Cruz is there, and Ant Toves is hanging out with us on the Facebook Lives. I got Bob and Connie Bartonico. Go Army Strong Seniors, Millie Lahana Fison, Daryl Taggarty is online. I got Chilar Laron, who's going to be in the studio a little bit later on with our friends from Guam Regional Medical City. Joe Sandemeyer, Roy Burgess back in town, maybe. Tammy Bumba. I got Sandra De Leon Guerrero. Joey Toves is there. Gina Kono and Lynn Perez. Are you in town finally? Beer Summit, Joe Guam. Not real Joe. That's the Joe Guam guy. And
the real Joe Guam.
Where's he playing tonight? Eric Rosario. He's got a new song out. Smug Wimp is there, and Joe Cepeda. And then somebody was yakking about how they're counting on me to, what is it? Somebody's counting on, I don't know, some political thing. Anyway, we'll work on it. 888-8255 is the telephone number. In the last hour, talking with Mary Rhodes from over at the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. Prepare, she says, for the downturn. But interesting that she put the numbers kind of in perspective. And while, every new report is going to show people catching the coronavirus and people dying from the coronavirus, still not as bad as things have been, like when the North Koreans were threatening to send missiles over. That put people off traveling to the island. And in fact, most outbound numbers are down generally everywhere as a result of this coronavirus. So we're certainly not alone in this. And it's not like, we're out $9 million and Saipan's getting it, or we're out $9 million and Bali is getting it. Everybody is going to be out a certain amount of money as a result of the coronavirus that is out there. 8:21 in the morning, but there is still fun. This is normally a part where we pretend to talk about sports. So as I pretend to talk about sports, I'm going to bring in one of my favorite sports experts, the boss of the Guam Sports Network website, gspn.com, and that would be Patrick Lujan. Good morning, Patrick.
Hey, what's going on, Ray?
No, you tell me, buddy, what's going on. I saw an ad in the Daily Post with our boy Zach Banner.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. He's coming back once again.
All right, well, that's good. You make sure he comes by the radio station and autograph some more styrofoam plates. But he's coming out with a friend to do all kinds of clinics and get-togethers?
Yeah, so, he got close with Larry Ogunjobi, who's a defensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns when Zach was playing with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out 2 years ago, both of them. And Larry loved the island and decided to come back and continue to support Zach with his nonprofit organization, the B3 Foundation.
That's awesome. So they're going to be here, end of the month and early March?
That's correct. So they come in actually a week from this Friday, and then they will have a free kids camp, football camp over at the Guam High football field. And then they'll have a coaches clinic also at Guam High. And then they're going to wrap up things on Tuesday, March 3rd at Papa's. It's a charity event, and basically what he did throughout the season was he's got all kinds of stuff, autographed footballs, jerseys from the entire Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Wow.
And so he'll be auctioning off most of those items, and all the proceeds will go back to his B3 Foundation, which already he's donated the entire fifth grade class of DL Perez last year with school bags and school supplies.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he wants to continue to do that. So he's definitely, he's not just carries the Guam flag on his shoulder, and he really is getting involved and giving back to our community. And we're trying to support that as much as possible as well.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I'm calling, because I want to make sure that we are among those that support Zach and Ogunjobi and of course GSPN here. I'm interested in this silent auction event. Music, C is going to be playing. He's not on the radio anymore, so I thought he was headed back to Hawaii or something. But he's sticking around, huh?
Yeah. He loves the island. This is home for him. and he's got a couple of players with him, and they've been doing some things, and they're ready to play some stuff out, on that night.
All right, so keep that in the calendar, because a lot of this stuff sounds like it's going to be for the kids. You got the kids clinic going on, a coaches clinic, and for just the plain old regular folks that want to get closer to Zach and say hello, this might be the one opportunity that you're going to get. So March the 3rd, Tuesday night, over at Papa's. Fun starts at 6 and doesn't stop until the last item is silent auctioned off.
That's correct. And there's another item too that because these items will probably be auctioned off in the hundreds, right, depending on what Steeler fan really wants.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've created was a Steelers basket for people like you and I can afford, right? It's a $20 ticket.
It's a refrigerator magnets, right?
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool because in the basket it's an autographed Juju Smith-Schuster autographed jersey. Some autographed cleats by Zach, some Steelers shirts, and some Terrible towels. And so, you and I can afford that, right? $20 to get a chance to win that.
I don't know. It's tax season, buddy. It's tax season, bro. I don't know if it's gonna be going off in that direction, but certainly worth trying here. 8:25 in the morning. All right, so all of that stuff. If you want details, go to gspn.com and the World Wide Web, or find the SHPO. You got a couple of minutes for some other conversation about sports and coronavirus. I'm curious as to what you think the sense is on the ground. Was the governor in the right by turning down or turning away these Hong Kongese basketball players for the FIBA tournament?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Oh, considering who your boss is, yeah, but you're a tough guy. You can answer that.
I mean, my opinion is these are healthy athletes, right? And I personally would have let them play, but that I think that her intel is probably better than my intel.
Well, I know what I get the overall thinking, and prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and they were right when they turned away that ship. As it turns out, they landed in Cambodia, and the Cambodians welcomed them with open arms and said, "The hotels are over there, the beaches are over there, the malls are over there. Go and have a good time." And then they found one of the passengers that actually did have the coronavirus, and it's hell to pay in Cambodia trying to round up all of the passengers on the ship, or at least account for the passengers on the ship. I'll tell you a little bit more about that story a little bit later on. But there are some movements that are going on in the sporting world. Virus fears rise after Cambodia's acceptance of the cruise ship. And then there was another story that I was reading up about. China is going to use Thailand as neutral ground for the World Cup qualifiers, because everybody is scared about what's going to be happening with the coronavirus. Guam, of course, is in the qualification campaign.
Yeah, it's interesting on how that works, and just the political dynamics works with this. Even changing the venue from Hong Kong to Guam, and then now that's being canceled. I do know that from a strategic standpoint.
Has it been canceled? Because I was reading somewhere EJ says they're still talking about it. As far as they know, Guam doesn't have yet a back of the PDN sports page. Where's it say? He says the good thing is not decided, but it will be an important topic that will continue to be discussed through the weekend, whether or not we are in a forfeit position because of the postponement of the game.
No, they announced it yesterday.
Okay, all right. Well, then the PDN is late on that one then.
Yeah, but so the New Zealand game is still on.
And so Guam is playing New Zealand
on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
that's
gotcha.
That's going to be a great game. I mean, probably the highest level Guam has ever played. When we won the gold in the last two Pacific Games, it wasn't on Guam. So this is a great opportunity for the Guam fans to go out and really support our team, and against one of the best teams in the world in New Zealand.
Yeah. We'll watch how that all plays out. But there's things that are going to be moving around. Of course, about the Tokyo Marathon, where they've decided to basically cancel it for everybody except elite runners and elite wheelchair racers.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, too.
38,000. That's 38,000 runners. And my understanding is you don't get your deposit back. We'll send you the T-shirt after the race, but you ain't going to be getting your deposit back. And, of course, that all lines up towards the summer when we get to 2020 Olympics. What do you think is going to be happening with that? Do you think it's a ghost show, or is coronavirus going to be the ultimate party pooper for the Olympics?
I don't know. I mean, according to the president, it should die out by then.
Yeah, I don't take medical advice from Donald Trump. We've got the CDC, we got the WHO. I don't know about that. He said that last week, and as it turns out, there was a surge in the coronavirus that came through. I got it. Hey, so there's 2 historic preservation officers, right?
There are.
Okay, but you're the only state historic preservation officer.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. I got that. So what's?
I like how you're making this work, Ray.
Well, I'm going to try. I'm a professional broadcast. Kids don't try this at home. Do it at somebody else's house. But I'm trying to sort out now what it is. Has she gone back to work yet? Do you know?
She has checked in.
Uh-huh.
And then
what is in check back out? What is she doing there that you aren't already doing? Do we need to have 2 historic preservation officers?
Oh, she's currently on medical leave.
Oh, this is interesting stuff. All right. Well, see, this sounds like there's an offline conversation that we ought to have.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll bring a bottle of wine. You bring the cigars.
Deal.
All right. That's Patrick Lawn. Find him over at GSPN. The initial reason for the telephone call, of course, Zach Banner is going to be coming back. He's bringing friends, and there's going to be opportunities for you to come in and have a good time with them. Patrick is correct. New Zealand ranked 24th in the world, and Guam is going to get to play them. Tell Pat not to forget Excite B-ball game against New Zealand Sunday at 5 p.m. at the University of Guam. So if you want to...
And then you get to watch the
want to catch some of that action. The what?
The haka.
Oh, the haka. That's right.
Yeah, they do the haka.
The for real haka, not because there's a couple of fake versions running around and a couple of adaptations.
What was the one that I sent you? It was
my
called
God. Oh my God. 8:30 in the. Oh my God. It's 8:30 in the morning already.
It's 8:30.
Where
it is 8:30. Ooh, I got a job to do.
At some point. Well, that's all the time we got to pretend to talk about sports. On the other side of these news, not news. On the other side of this break, Montesilva Tyron will give you our last look at headlines. Be right back.
February 27th, it's the last call for leadership.
How do you grow a company? You grow a company by growing people. And when you grow them, they increase their capacity. When they increase their capacity, they begin to increase the capacity of what you can accomplish.
The voice of John C. Maxwell on the last chance to see the Live to Lead conference in November. Over 300 leaders and future leaders experienced a day full of big ideas, fun, and high-level motivation. For those who couldn't make it, we're doing it again. Registration closes soon. Get the details at guamtraining.com. Live to Lead is brought to you by Atkins Kroll, Guam's #1 car dealership. Also by Hawaiian Rock Products, the Guam Contractors Association, the Guam Daily Post, and 93.3 The Point. Energize your team. Join the Guam Live to Lead conference today.
It's time for our last look at headlines now with news from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Montesilva Tyron.
The defense for the Mark Torrey Jr. trial wants his case dismissed, saying that the court violated his right to a speedy trial, but the prosecution says there is no delay, and if there was one, it was caused by the motions filed by the defense. The prosecution's opposing Torrey's request to dismiss. Torrey's been charged with negligent homicide in the 2015 shooting death of Sergeant Bert Piolo. A hearing will be held later on to hear the merits of that motion to dismiss. No criminal charges will be filed against a Guam police officer accused of police brutality. That from the Attorney General's office, which completed the investigation into Officer Joey Uggan. The investigation was prompted after a cell phone video captured Uggan striking an arrestee. The AG's investigation showed the officer's actions were justified and there is no probable cause to charge a crime. The Trump administration's proposed defense budget for fiscal year 2021 allocates $723 million for military construction projects on Guam, but there's worry over the lack of skilled labor workers. Economists estimate that the projects will require 5,800 employees. The Guam Contractors Association says that they are active in trying to recruit workers, and this is a perfect opportunity to train our local workforce. And those are some of your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. For more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the paper or log on to the website at postguam.com.
Okay, 8:33 in the morning, and we'll call that iConnect time. Go to the iConnect that they've got over at the Micronesia Mall. Great location if you're just looking for a contract. You just need to, look, I got to get a phone. I got to make phone calls and do internet and all of that stuff. But if you want fancy, sophisticated phones, they got iPhones there. Apple Watches and all kinds of gadgets and gizmos to make your Apple digital life complete at iConnect at the Micronesia Mall.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's pulmonology clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's pulmonology clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Yep, swing by the nearest Wendy's. They've got one Route 10. Maybe you've seen that on, when you're stuck in traffic waiting for the light to turn green at the far side. Anyway, go there and ask them about the Big Bacon Classic. Actually, it's breakfast time, so you can ask them about the bacon fried rice, and then ask them about the Big Bacon Classic that they are bringing back for limited time just for us bacon cheeseburger lovers. It's a juicy beef patty with melted cheese. There's crispy bacon, lots of it, too. There's lettuce, tomato, onions, if you want them, because I always have them take the onions off because I'm not a fresh onions guy, which is weird because I like onion rings, but I don't like fresh onions. Yeah, it's a weird thing. But anyway, they've got ketchup and warmly toasted fresh buns, straight up OG. It's the Big Bacon Classic waiting on you at Wendy's. Now, that's better.
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, Two Lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
Oh, it's that Frank Cruz that was chiming in with Pat. That's my buddy from KFC. They got breakfast there as well. It's 8:35 in the morning, 888-8255. And taking a look at the traffic gizmo, usually around this time is just intersection traffic. I'm sure that is the case now. Also not hearing anything about any accidents on the roadway. Although, was it Chief Commissioner Gamboa chimed in on the WhatsApp and said that there looked like a cop fundraiser going on southbound Marine Corps Drive, Ganya, Nigua area. So watch out for that. Might be slowing you down, and that might be some of the yellow lines that I'm seeing here in the downtown Agutnia area. Certainly busier over by Kipoa Circle and that area if you're coming in on Route 8. No major problems there. Route 16, 8, 10, and 16. A little bit busy in both directions over what looks like the front of the guard shack on Route 16. So expect some delays through there. It's choppy stop-and-go traffic up and down Route 10 Alpha in between the intersection at the upper 76 Circle K and the lower 76 Circle K on Marine Corps Drive. So expect some delays there. Still busy over at the intersection of 1 and 3, but it'll clear up by the time you get to the Chicken Joy intersection. It's 8:36. That's right now traffic. This is The Point.
With a new decade, there are new opportunities. And with new opportunities, there is always a chance to say yes. Yes to that car. Yes to that business venture. Yes to that new house. With First Hawaiian Bank, it all starts with yes. Member FDIC.
It's my favorite event of the year. You know, I say that about just about everything, but in this case, it certainly is one of my favorites. There's this one that I like to do, the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association Gala, both of the quiz nights that take place every year, and I'm becoming fonder and fonder and fonder of some fundraisers that I get to do with the team over at 76 Circle K, the big get together, the celebrity waiter deal that they had a couple of weeks. That was just so much fun, and I'm working again this week, carrying a microphone for the Guam Women's Club as we get ready to march through the 66th annual Mardi Gras. Past, present, future is the theme for this year in the studios. Leo Giordano, how you doing there?
Good morning.
It's Academy class of 2000?
1972.
Oh, all right. And so she's in the studio, and Donna Kloppenberg is in the studio as well. Nice to see you and the old man over at Mosa's the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are getting out a lot, huh?
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that. Business any good?
Yeah.
All right. Because it's this coronavirus thing. It's got everybody all freaked out.
Yeah, I think everybody's a little concerned about that.
Yeah, but it's not going to stop us from having a good time, right?
Nope.
Okay, so I want to say the last time we did this, the last time I had everybody in the studio to talk about the event, it was practically sold out already. Is that the case again?
Yes.
Yes, we're sold out. So all right. So basically, the interview is thank the sponsors because just a little bit. Yeah, we're going to get together on Saturday night, but yeah, it's already sold out. So we've got that going for us. So I don't have to worry about encouraging people to come and get the last tables, right?
No.
That's good
There
news.
might be a few straggling tickets out there, but
we always what Donna and I call mistake tables.
Oh,
we have extra tables
Mhm.
just in case we have stragglers that wanted to come.
Well, it's because it's such a fun event, and I've been a part of this now. And in fact, I've been the King Rex before, and it feels like yesterday, but I know it's actually quite some time ago. At any rate, so we've got the 66th annual Mardi Gras. It's going to be taking place at the usual spot. See you at the Hyatt Regency, because the food's real good there and the service is awesome. If you want one of those straggler tickets, you might be able to find one from Leo and Donna at $75 a piece. First, now how do we get a hold of you? I mean, because you're like the A team. I don't. No, it's true. It's true. I don't hear from Don. I might not hear from her for 6 months, 7, 8 months, or something like that. But whenever you need her or she needs you, then all of a sudden, bang, there she is. And that's what happened here. And the reminder for me to get dressed up for Saturday night. So $75 for the ticket. How do we get them? The last ones.
Yes, okay. We can get in touch with Donna Kloppenberg at 777-2055. Davina Evaristo, 687-1813. And myself, Leo Giordano, 788-9977.
All right, tell you what, and if we were going too fast for you on those numbers, I have them. Just hit me up on the Facebook Live, and I'll be happy to get them back to you, and so you can make the telephone call. Now, it's the Mardi Gras is tradition around this time of year. We're closing in on Ash Wednesday, and that's the 40 days and 40 nights of prayer.
And fasting.
And chastity and fasting. And so there's 40 days and 40 nights of no fun. So you have your fun. That's the idea. Mardi Gras is to have fun before it gets to be Ash Wednesday.
Yes.
So you have Show of Tuesday if you get into the traditions of all of it. And we do from time to time at our Mardi Gras. But that's the excuse for the party. And as it turns out, one of the greatest fundraisers for the Guam Women's Club.
Yes, but our party is with a purpose.
That's right.
Well, our Mardi Gras goes towards our scholarships. We have 2 students at the University of Guam full-time, and we just graduated. All of us, just graduated Natasha Hagens in December, and she was the valedictorian of her class at the University of Guam.
Yes. Congratulations.
So we're so proud of her, and all of our graduates. And
have we ever had somebody that started off as a scholarship recipient that all of a sudden turned into eventually a member of the Guam Women's Club?
A couple.
Yes, a couple. One currently right now is Valerie Bloss. She was our scholarship.
Valerie Bloss is listening right now.
Yes, she was our scholarship recipient, and now she's giving back, and she became a member.
Right. Grand Plaza Hotel, Valerie Bloss. That's the very lady that we're talking about, and I get to see her name and her icon on Facebook Live every day.
Rodlin Gerardo. She was I think she's a CPA now. Yeah.
And it all starts, and I love the process. You apply for the grant, and then you might be the lucky one that gets it. And there's all kinds of money behind it, and it stays with you generally all the way through the process.
Right.
Yes, and this during all this economic times, our scholarship fund has taken a new meaning because a deserving student might be able to partake of our full scholarship. Otherwise, they will never be able to attend the University of Guam.
There are those concerns, and now we've got everybody talking at the University of Guam about maybe another one of these tuition hikes and things like that. So
we've already taken that into account.
Really,
it's all taken into account.
We're
looking ahead.
We're looking ahead. We actually have a scholarship fund already in place. Okay, and we anticipated the tuition hike. In fact, Dr. Kreis was a guest speaker.
I was going to say, have we made his wife a member of the club yet?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
she is.
Absolutely.
Patty.
Yes.
Patty. And they will be there at Mardi Gras. And in fact, Dr. Kreis was so pleasant. I invited him to one of our membership meetings. He had fun. And he did acknowledge that the Guam Women's Club have given hundreds and thousands of dollars in scholarships.
And a lot of that money raised up on Mardi Gras nights, just like the
Yes.
one that we're talking about. It's going to be Saturday night, again, at the Hyatt Regency Grand Ballroom. If you're going to be in the area, in fact, we kind of encourage people to just run by the Hyatt anyway, because you'll note there will be an air of celebration that's going to be
Yes.
taking place, and everybody will be dressed up. And I'm thinking of Dr. Coco and his wife as they get prepared for Mardi Gras. Always a different costume, always a different look that these guys have got.
Yes, well, we're encouraging those who are coming this Saturday, because it's past, present, and future. So you can dance through the decades, 50s, 60s, 70s.
You can wear
all throughout.
you can wear the
future.
old dress.
Yeah.
No,
You can get in it. You can wear it.
you can wear the whole thing, or and in the 60s and 70s, jeans, grungy jeans,
Yeah.
and tie dye. You can come.
Oh, really? So you pick a decade, pick a look, and then dress the part. There will be a costume contest.
Yes.
Yes.
One of our favorite events of the night, where everybody gets basically a paddle with a number on it, and you walk around and you try to get everybody to on your side and fill out a ballot.
Yes, and the categories for those who would like to partake in our costume contest: most original, most outrageous, the funniest, and the crowd favorite.
I think Rosemary Cruz may still have the most outrageous from a few years ago, where she. It's hard for me to describe what she was wearing, but let me just say it was an eye opener, as a matter of fact. And I know she's going to be there as well with her husband.
Oh yes.
All right,
yes.
and then now is Madeline going to be there? If you take a listen, one of the things in past, present, and future, it must have been fun to put the program booklet together with 66 years worth of Mardi Gras celebrations. And I'm not going to say that Madeline is a plank owner of the Guam Women's Club, but she's been a member for an awful long time, longer than anybody else will remember. So I'm kind of curious if she's going to be coming back from D.C. for this.
I don't think she's going to be on island,
Oh.
but she does participate when she's here. Rosemary is definitely going to be there, and in fact, she was out yesterday fine-tuning her costume. So
Yes, and
we don't know what to expect.
Between Madeline Bordalio and Rosemary Cruz, they're the two longest members currently
that are active.
that are active.
Such a nice way to put that, and and participating in these for so many
We don't
years.
have any old members. We're longtime members.
That's right. That's correct.
Actually,
but you're always looking for new ones. I mean, we're talking
Yes.
about. There's. I can look at the Facebook Live and find all kinds of new candidates for you to become members of the Guam Women's Club. So what's the advantage? Let's say I'm a 26-year-old recent graduate from the University of Guam, or coming into Guam from being off island for a long time. What's the advantage of becoming a member of the Women's Club?
Oh, well, obviously, you give back to the community. That's a big part of it. It gives you an opportunity to meet women that you might not ordinarily meet in your life, different spheres.
Yeah.
And I may not have ever met Leo or Rosemary, and now they've been friends for 25 plus
20
years.
Yeah, well, trust me. Now, I know this crowd. When they're not meeting officially for the Guam Women's Club, they're still together anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've
Dinners
become
and
very,
brunches.
very good friends.
Bridge games, that kind of thing.
Most of us, there's most of us who have been in the club for 25 something years are now life members.
Yes.
And including Donna and myself and 12 others or 14 others. We're actually the core that kept the history of the Guam Women's Club all of these years.
But it should be a proud history. I think you guys ought to have a museum one of these days with just all of the relics that you have from nights like this one and other activities that the Guam Women's Club has participated in over the years. Now, there was a time. I'm looking over the little bit of the program, some of the things that we're going to be doing. I know there's going to be food, obviously. We're going to have entertainment. Now, there was a once upon a time, and there's pictures floating around of husbands, of the wives of the Guam Women's Club that were forced under pain of sleeping in the doghouse.
Voluntold
by members of the Guam Women's Club. Will there be any of that? Will there be any husbands in the entertainment portions?
There were
entertainment this year.
Entertainment this year will be 10 Guam Women's Club dancers.
Okay.
And they will be giving a spectacular performance.
Right.
And they've been working hard. So, and choreographed.
Somebody told me there's Korean hot pants.
We don't give those things away.
You've got to show up and be there. Okay.
Well, yeah, you really have to show up. So far, their dances, it's choreographed by our current King Rex, Hiner de la Kenya.
Good.
Yes, and
Has he been showing up to meetings?
Everyone.
No way.
Every single one.
Oh,
He's
Tanner, you're
awesome.
making me look bad. I attended one the entire year I was at King
He
Rex.
had a perfect attendance.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And he really embraced the King Rex.
He
We're
really
so happy.
Yes.
Did he manage to move all of the banking over to Coast 360? did he get your account?
Not
yet.
Not yet.
We'll work on that. The presentation of this year's King Rex is going to take place at some point. We normally do that just right around the time where we're going to take a stroll through the lobby over at the Hyatt, and we'll announce who the King Rex is. That is one of the highly regarded and best kept secrets on Guam.
Yes.
Any hints?
No.
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 Just
Not a one.
Not a one.
Somebody
Not a
that
one.
has not been a King Rex before.
Right.
Yes.
The University of Guam Jazz Band always leads the parade with actually the former King Rex's, Ray. So
Yep.
you will be introduced along with many other of our
Former King Rexes.
former King Rexes.
Yes.
And the Hyatt very graciously allows us to go through the lobby and actually into a couple of the restaurants to hand out beads. And,
Yeah. So actually, I don't ever go on the parade. I stay inside and go through
You
your
do?
purses.
Okay.
What?
Shoot, is that what happens?
Is that what happens when we leave our purses and go to the parade?
Statute of limitations may have already run out on last year's. There's the silent auction going to be taking place as well.
Yes.
And this has always been one of the great places. If you've forgotten something important on Valentine's, great opportunity to make up for it by scoring some cool stuff on the silent auctions.
We have fabulous silent auction items, including designer purses.
I was going to say designer, cool. There's always shows that you can go to and gym memberships and cell phones and things like that. So and they take credit cards.
Yes.
We've got the systems all lined up so they can take credit cards.
Yes.
Women's club dancers are going to be there. I was going to say, do we have in the past? I want to say last year we had a bunch of little kids coming out doing some dancing. Are they coming back this year?
There will also be fusion dancers.
Fusion dancers, all right. They were fantastic, and a lot of acrobatics in the performance that they did at last year's show. So I'm glad that this is going to be coming back up. DJ Noli and Music Sensations going to be there. We got face painters. Is there a photo booth?
Yes.
You almost can't have a party on Guam anymore without having some kind of photo booth. You almost can't do an interview on the radio anymore without somebody's cell phone going on. That's all right. No, it's okay.
That's for the tickets.
8:51
Those are
in the
for
morning.
the tickets.
Yeah, exactly. So, make that phone ring and get the last of the tickets. Leo's number is 788-9977, 788-9977. And obviously, if you call it now, you can make it ring on the radio.
Can we thank our sponsors?
I was
right
going
now?
to say that's a good place. That's a good place to end the interview. Who do we want to say thank you to?
Okay, we want to acknowledge all of our sponsors who have donated generously to our Mardi Gras 2020. Our purple sponsors: Graphic Center, Mid-Pacific Distributors Inc., Kloppenberg Enterprises Inc., Bank of Guam, SPPC, Coast 360, Century 21, Commonwealth Realty, RKM Property Group, MPFE, CT. They're too long of companies too. That's why I just abbreviated them. And our gold sponsor is University of Guam. The green sponsors are Stay Well, Family Finance, Trivision, John and Dorothy Borles, Takagi and Associates, Odessa Palacios, McDonald's, and Docomo Pacific.
So the usual bunch that generally can be counted on to help out in all kinds of activities. Certainly helping out on this one as well. Well, ladies, thanks for coming. Maybe we ought to schedule these interviews earlier when we actually need to sell tickets. You guys are down to the short rows on the ticket sales. What's the next big women's club event that you have on the calendar?
This is kind of our
signature event
of the year.
Okay, so no golf tournaments?
No golf tournaments this year.
Okay,
No.
all right. Just if something comes up.
And Leo will be Her presidency will go through the end of May, and then we'll have a whole new bunch of people next year starting out. And usually in the fall we do a wine tasting.
Yeah, call me for that. Yeah, that's a good time. Call me for the. We should make it a beer and wine tasting.
We did. It was beer and
Right?
wine.
It was wine and beer.
Okay.
It was wine and beer. We'll probably do that again.
Now, let me know, and we'll set up another interview, and we'll get in here. We'll talk about all the distributors that are helping
But we're looking
you.
forward to the younger members taking over handling some of these, and we're going to still be having fun and helping out where we can.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've
That's where the past.
Yeah.
I mean the past, present, and future of the club.
So it's a good
stands.
thing that you've got somebody that's been the MC before. So even if you get somebody that's new, that doesn't quite know the agenda, doesn't quite know the way, I know when to send people out. I know when to call in the dinner, and I know when to do the contest. So you don't have to worry too much about that. That's usually the way it works. Is that Ray Gibson gets the microphone, and these ladies can sit back and relax and enjoy the evening. Sort of.
We really rely on you. Every morning.
Oh, shucks, he says. 8:55 in the morning. I'm going to take a real quick break here and come right back and finish the rest of this hour. Coming up, we're going to be talking about heart and heart health. We got your friends and my health partners from Guam Regional Medical City coming into the studio in just a few minutes. Stick around, bro.
February 27th, it's the last call for leadership.
How do you grow a company? You grow a company by growing people. And when you grow them, they increase their capacity. When they increase their capacity, they begin to increase the capacity of what you can accomplish.
The voice of John C. Maxwell on the last chance to see the Live to Lead conference in November. Over 300 leaders and future leaders experienced a day full of big ideas, fun, and high-level motivation. For those who couldn't make it, we're doing it again. Registration closes soon. Get the details at guamtraining.com. Live to Lead is brought to you by Atkins Kroll, Guam's #1 car dealership. Also by Hawaiian Rock Products, the Guam Contractors Association, the Guam Daily Post, at 93.3 The Point. Energize your team. Join the Guam Live to Lead conference today.
Cocoa Coffee Company mugs are now here. Show pride for your island as you enjoy your delicious Circle K coffee. Each generously sized 16-ounce mug is etched with Guam-inspired images like Chief Gadao, Serena, Two Lovers, and many more. The Cocoa Coffee Company mug collection is available for a limited time only, so don't miss out. Get yours today and collect them all. Exclusively available at Circle K locations. A portion of the proceeds go toward the Cocoa Bird Recovery Program.
How we doing? Are we groovy yet? Grooviness abounds, if you ask me. And they left behind the beads. These are the official colors of this year's Mardi Gras. And I'm looking at them going, this looks like Academy colors, doesn't it? The blue and the white, there's a little bit of silver in there, so I think, and they said, that's all right. Every once in a while, we'll go into the different colors, because otherwise it always looks like a GW and JFK reunion. 888-8255-888-TALK is the telephone number. Valerie Bloss, incidentally, was asking a question about what might or might not be going on in the Philippines. Duterte is on a tear against the United States, and a few days ago they had a press conference, and in the press conference threatened to make it so that if you and I, never mind the big shot politicians and dignitaries, but if just regular folks like you and I wanted to go to the Philippines, we would require a visa. And I thought, that's terrible. So there's rumors moving around that they might have made that change. I don't think they did. I can't find anything in the news. But this was what the press conference sounded like the other day.
Government will require all Americans intending to come to the Philippines to apply and secure a visa before they can enter Philippine territory.
That was the headline, and they'll pick it up now from the beginning.
Good afternoon, Malacanang Press Corps. Magandang hapon, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel and Spokesman Attorney Salvador Panelo.
Good afternoon, MPC. I have a statement to make. The United States 2020 budget contains a provision which authorizes the U.S. Secretary of State to ban government officials in the Philippines from entering their territory about whom he has, quote, credible information have been involved in the wrongful imprisonment of Senator Laila de Lima, unquote. While some media outlets have been twisting this information in their headlines, there's an outright ban against Philippine officials involved in the case of Senator de Lima from traveling to the U.S. We have explained repeatedly that the subject provision is ineffective given that the Philippine Filipino senator is not wrongfully detained, and therefore the impossibility of the U.S. Secretary of State to receive credible information with regard thereto. Should a ban from entry into U.S. territory be enforced against Philippine officials involved in or by reason of Senator De Lima's lawful imprisonment, this government will require all Americans intending to come to the Philippines to apply and secure a visa before they can enter Philippine territory. Meanwhile, the Philippines is immediately ordering the Bureau of Immigration to deny U.S. Senators Dick Durbin and Patrick Liachi, the imperious, uninformed, and gullible American legislators who introduced the subject provision in the 2020 budget.
You know what? I love this guy. I'm going to dig out some of these other press conferences with this guy. I just I kind of like his style. Just shoot right from the hip. You know he's a Duterte guy, right? Just from the attitude. So that was a couple of days ago. Near as I can tell, I have not gotten any new information that they are doing any action. Again, it's based on actions in Washington, D.C. on budget items. And I don't know that those things are going to survive any of that conversation. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if you are the twitchy type, go now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG, getting you 93.3. This is The Point.
Granting clemency. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump taking action to free former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich.
The president saying today that Blagojevich has spent enough time in jail, 8 years, for his attempts to sell the Senate seat once occupied by Barack Obama. In total today, the president issuing 7 grants of clemency, also to Bernard Carrick, the former New York City police commissioner, who spent 3 years in jail for making false statements, Michael Milken, the former financier, Jungman King, and Eddie DeBartolo, who was the former owner of the San Francisco 49ers for more than 20 years, who was convicted on a federal felony for not reporting extortion money that he allegedly paid to the former governor of Louisiana, Edwin Edwards, to try to get a casino license for a riverboat.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Authorities in South Carolina say a 6-year-old girl who disappeared from her front yard was strangled by her neighbor, who then killed himself. Lexington County Coroner Margaret Fisher says Faye Marie Swetnick died just a few hours after she was abducted. The first day of jury deliberations in the sexual assault trial of Harvey Weinstein. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, this first deliberation day, also the 18th overall day of the trial, is now over. Weinstein faces 5 counts, including rape and predatory sexual assault. The jury of 5 women and 7 men sent 2 notes to the judge, one to clarify verdict choices and legal definitions. The second note called for more specific information from testimony, including the layout of Weinstein's Manhattan apartment. It's not yet enough to bring a verdict. The Weinstein defense maintains any sexual encounter with accusers was consensual. The jury will return tomorrow and continue their deliberations, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. Wall Street, the Dow lost 165 points. The NASDAQ gained about 2 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Docomo Pacific wants to keep your business connected. When you sign up for a smart business bundle, you're gaining more than just mobile, internet, and phone services. Receive unbeatable value for your money and the convenience of having it all on one bill. All your business services on the widest and fastest network in Guam and the Marianas. Call 688-2677 for more information on partnering your business. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Half a day. This is Alicia Blas from Security Title with a gentle reminder that your first installment of property taxes is due February 20. You might not know, but if you purchase property after March 4, 2019, you most likely will not receive a tax bill in the mail, but you still owe the tax. To make payment, take a copy of your deed to Revan Tax in Barragata and ask for the tax bill. When it comes to your family land, call the professionals at Security Title. We are here to help.
NASCAR driver Ryan Newman said to be alert and talking in a Florida hospital after a terrifying crash at the Daytona 500.
It was at the very end of the final lap when Newman's number 6 was nudged from behind, sending him airborne, upside down, into the air, and into extreme danger because when he landed, the high-speed car behind him then smashed smack into the driver's side door. Newman had to be extricated from his car and taken by ambulance to the hospital.
Fox's Phil Keating. Russia says it will temporarily ban Chinese nationals from entering the country amid the outbreak of the coronavirus. More than 73,000 people in China are infected. Over 1,900 people have died in China, with 5 other deaths around the world, including one in France. Germany, meanwhile, saying it will send a second shipment of medical aid and supplies to help fight the illness. President Trump heading west for the next couple days.
President Trump is attending a fundraiser Tuesday evening in Beverly Hills, but he's also meeting with organizers of the Olympics, which LA is hosting in 2028. Wednesday, he's holding a fundraiser and golf outing in Rancho Mirage near Palm Springs at Oracle founder Larry Ellison's property, after which he travels to Bakersfield. The plan is to meet with House Minority Leader Congressman Kevin McCarthy to talk about water in an area known for farming. Wednesday night, he rallies in Phoenix, Arizona, and Thursday, the president is addressing former prisoners at a graduation ceremony in Las Vegas ahead of the Nevada caucuses. Then it's on to Colorado Springs for a rally with Republican Senator Cory Gardner. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Despite objections from some activists, the Israeli Opera will host a week-long singing competition organized by opera singer Placido Domingo. He has been accused of sexual harassment and inappropriate behavior. The Israeli Opera says it does not condone harassment, but because there has been no official report against Domingo, they are allowing him to participate. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Hafaday, Guam. We'd like to invite you to join us February 23 for the Guahan Festival of Hope with Franklin Graham at the Guam Football Association soccer field next to Dedido Sports Complex. Franklin Graham will be on Guam to share a life-changing message of God's love and hope for every one of us. This hope-filled event will also feature musical performances by Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Michael W. Smith. Tommy Coombs Band, and Dennis Agajanian. Don't miss this free once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Come join us for an afternoon of music and a life-changing message of God's love and hope on February 23 at the Guam Football Association soccer field, starting at 4:30 p.m. Gates open at 3:30 p.m. Admission is free. For additional information and updates, visit us and like our Facebook page at Guahan Festival of Hope. See you there. God bless you and God bless Guam.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dedido 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
What, 6 after 9 already? Okay, fine. Let me just punch my way into this portion of the program brought to you by American President Lines. Global presence with a global home. Global presence with a local home, I think. I should probably get their logo phrase correct because they've been in the shipping business for a long, long time. Also being brought to you by the team over at Denny's. They've got international items on the menu. Hearty breakfast lamb and berry vanilla. They've got the crepe breakfast and the banana chocolate hazelnut crepe breakfast. Can you say Nutella? Nutella is good 24 hours a day, and they make it so well for you over at Denny's. So try that for breakfast today.
Bringing you closer to the action. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
And away we go. It's the Ray Gibson Show, and 7 after 9 o'clock in the morning, and we come up to one of my favorite things that I get to do every month, and that is to spend some time with medical professionals, team over at Guam Regional Medical City. The segment of the program, it's actually got a name, as Your Healthcare Partner, and so vital that you think in those terms. That a lot of times you don't think about your relationship with your doctor until you get sick, but there are people here that can coach you through the easy stuff, so you don't get to the hard stuff, and so we'll we'll start in with this. Carla Haddock unfortunately cannot make it to the conversation, and we'll have to schedule her in for another time, Charlie, if you don't mind, because I think she's a great story of a girl from around here that has been able to do all of the things that she needed to do, nursing professional, et cetera, and just a fantastic human being. What do you got? What's wrong with the camera?
She's not in it.
Oh, she's not in it.
Yeah.
Well, but she's not supposed to be in it. Him's supposed to be in it. That's all right. It's okay. Just put it in auto mode, and then we'll all be all right there. She doesn't need to be in the shot, but we're going to put her in there anyway. But like I said, anyway. So Carla, done everything to go through the nursing program here. Got herself some time with the Navy, I believe, and that helped contribute to the work that she's doing over at GRMC. So she's definitely a get for an interview in the future. In the meantime, returning star Dr. Joseph Wiederman. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did I say it right again?
Yeah, you did.
Was it Wiederman?
Wiederman.
Okay.
Wiederman. It's too German with this hard W.
I got that. Well, it's great to have you back in the studio, and because it was a great conversation that we had before. We generally tend to have a few things in common. We're both big believers in cardio health. You can tell by looking at him that he spends some time over at the beach as well.
I do.
And we were talking about a favorite. I don't know if I want to mention the place out by Tengisan that you were talking about, because if we start talking about it too much, all of a sudden it'll be the most crowded spot along Guam's great beaches.
Well, a lot of the local folks know about it. It's not exactly a secret. It's just basically a 10-minute hike north of Tengisan.
Yeah.
And it's a little, very private beach with two sort of mushroom volcanic rock formations and crystal blue water and no people.
And no people, at least until we start talking about it on the air. But you've got a delightful tan, and so for me, every week I try to get out to a beach somewhere, Jimmy's, or I like a spot over by Gun Beach. It's a great place to go and watch the bikinis walk around, and there's always somebody that is snorkeling in the water. Unfortunately, these days with the wind the way it is, somebody actually got snatched out of the water by a Navy diver because he noticed that the guy was in trouble. So always be careful when you're out there. So I try to get to the beach as often as possible, and I'm probably going to get a scolding for this, but I'm not a sunscreen guy.
Oh, my Lord. My dermatologist yells at me all the time.
Yeah.
You should be using sunscreen.
Yeah.
I will confess to you.
But it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I will confess to you that I never use anything more than number 4. And please, that is not medically wise. It's evil. Please don't do it. But I want a tan. So yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I never use anything. Get out there. I've got this belief. It's almost childlike that this is my Guam sun, and I'm a son of Guam, so it's not going to hurt me. And besides, they closed the ozone layer, right?
It's still much stronger, the sun, than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's the lie I tell myself so I can sleep at night. And near as I can tell, I don't have any strange bumps. There's nothing falling off the appendages, so I'm pretty sure I don't have anything like that.
If you're going to do what we both seem to do, which is laze around in the sun, you should see a dermatologist once a year and get a complete screening just to make sure there's nothing funny going on your back where you can't see it or other places.
Do we have dermatologists over at GRMC? Okay, that's the specialty care we'll work on. We'll add that to the specialty mechanisms over at Guam Regional Medical City. Doc here is you're a heart guy.
Indeed.
Okay, so so in the beginning of this, I said the first question I was going to ask was going to be about coronavirus, and he's like, well, that's not my specialty, but you have MD at the end of your name, and it must be an interesting conversation among the other MDs as we watch this coronavirus and its spread.
Well, often with a virus whose behavior is not really well understood, all of us in the medical community are wondering, exactly what the mode of transmission is, what the lethality is, which actually seems to be lower than we initially thought, how easy it is to transmit. And a lot of this is a work in progress. We're just learning about it. And for the moment, the appropriate thing is caution.
Yeah.
Attention to yourself if you suddenly develop a fever or
I'm touching my
cough.
face. Oh, my God, I'm touching my face.
Well, you also haven't been in mainland China, so unless you've been exposed to a tourist from mainland China or who was recently there, it's unlikely that your flu is going to be due to coronavirus. But if you've been exposed, it's certainly worth checking out. And, a level of suspicion is important.
Well, when we say checking it out, I mean, what have we got to check it out with? My understanding is that there are kits on the way. They're not here yet. And even if they do come here, we've got to vet those test kits to make sure that they're looking for what we want to find.
Unfortunately, that's true. I mean, again, I would defer to an expert such as Dr. Yamamoto, who's our ID person at GRMC. But at the moment...
ID is infectious disease.
Infectious disease,
okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, medical abbreviations. At the moment, I would say if you think if you have been exposed, if there's a concern of exposure, then unfortunately, coming in and probably accepting a quarantine is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because it's not just a question of whether, you're sick with the virus or not, but the risk that you might infect other members of your family or friends or neighbors. So caution is recommended. But again, we haven't had a case on Guam yet. So,
thank goodness. Knock on wood.
Correct.
So what the thought that I have as I'm going through this conversation is, I worry about the capability of the island, our hospital, our current healthcare environment to be able to take care of something that could turn into a large-scale epidemic. And then the other concern that I have actually has to do with people like you in the healthcare industry. What are you doing to make sure that you're not getting sick? I mean, are you not touching your face, or you got the hand sanitizers? You find yourself washing your hands a lot?
Well, right. Well, the fact of the matter is you should be washing your hands before and after every patient encounter anyway. I mean, that's part of normal medical hygiene. So, yes, of course you wash your hands. And, frankly, if you're going into a room with someone who's coughing, on Guam, it's much more likely to be pneumonia or tuberculosis than it is to be coronavirus. And we use masks anyway. So following standard procedures and being strict about doing it will prevent medical providers and other people from getting the virus if it appears.
As if it's a good idea any other time of the year, it's a good idea now. Watch what's happening with your cough and maintain some basic sanitary. I wouldn't run out and get a mask unless you happen to be around people that have been traveling to those areas with infection. Otherwise, you're throwing good money after bad. Take the mask, buy the mask if you feel like you have to, and then hold on to it until you actually really need it.
Yeah, that would make sense. And again, the rule of thumb is when you hear hoofbeats, don't think of zebras, right? In all chances, if you have a cough, you just have a cold, all right? The chances of it being coronavirus are actually quite low. If you have been exposed to someone who's been traveling, it may be something to think about, but that shouldn't be the first thought in your head.
Yeah. It's AIDS or cancer or something like that. 888-825-888-TALK. So, guy's a cardiologist. That's a heart doctor, and they do plenty of heart work over at Guam Regional Medical City, and so we're going to find out a little bit more. And he's been in the studio before, and I've always been amazed by the gee-whiz technology that is available on Guam over at GRMC. But you've got new stuff now. You have new toys there?
Well, we have pretty much what we need to do state-of-the-art coronary intervention and peripheral vascular intervention. So we have, if you have blockages in the artery supplying your heart, or equally in the artery supplying your legs or your kidneys, which people also develop blockages in, we can fix that with balloons and with stents, but we can also do things that allow us to image the artery from the inside. Not just angiography, which uses dye to take pictures. We have small intravascular ultrasound catheters that are miniaturized sonograms that we put inside the arteries. We can actually look at the lining of the artery, see what the blockage looks like, if it's calcified or soft, determine what best equipment to use to treat it. We also have...
No, you don't. They haven't invented that.
Indeed, they have many years ago, but we just got it not that long ago.
That's something else. So it's kind of like the guys over at it's a clumsy analogy here, but the guys over at the GWA have got systems, little pilotless drone things that they can, on wheels or whatever, and they can go through the pipes and look to see areas that are blocked. They can look to see areas that are cracked, where there might be leaks and things like that. So we're doing the same thing at the intravascular level now?
Yes. I mean, one of the drawbacks of angiography, of just taking pictures, is it basically takes a tube and fills it with a dye that shows up black. So you're getting a two-dimensional image of what's essentially a three-dimensional object, and you can't see fine structural detail in the artery at all. This catheter, which is tiny, travels down the artery over a wire will give you a picture of the inside of the artery with extraordinary resolution. You know, people are used to having ultrasounds of their babies.
Yep.
This gives us even higher resolution. We can see whether a plaque is calcified or lipid rich. We can see whether it involves the bifurcation of a vessel. We can see after we put a stent in whether the stent is fully deployed and up against the wall of the vessel, or whether we need to make it bigger. So it's a device that increases the safety of our procedures and gives us a better sense of what we're actually treating.
Do they have, outside of being able to observe, does it come with a utility belt? So when you need to inflate the stent a little bit more, or where you need to remove a blockage, does it have something that you can whip out and say, okay, I'm going to laser this or I'm going to high frequency that and get rid of it?
Well, the ultrasound device itself doesn't, but the ultrasound device travels over a guide wire, which is put down the artery. So I do the image, I pull out the ultrasound catheter, and I replace it for either a balloon, a stent, or a rotational atherectomy drill, depending on what things look like. So it's very easy to switch out equipment once you have a wire down the artery.
So the rotational, what did you call it?
Rotational atherectomy.
This fascinates me.
Right. So this essentially is a drill bit, a diamond-studded drill bit that spins down the artery at about 180,000 RPM, and it's used to take off calcified blockages. So some people develop plaque because of accumulation of cardiac risk factors, hypertension, diabetes, smoking, high cholesterol, and depending on age and other circumstances, that plaque can be soft or hard. If the plaque is hard or calcified, it can be difficult to open it with a balloon or with a stent because it just won't dilate.
Yeah.
So this drill will take the calcium level off, and then the artery becomes more compliant, and we can treat it with a balloon or stent conventionally after we've drilled it first.
As I say, it's fascinating to me because we're talking about a piece of metal in the body, diamond tip on it. How does it know the difference between what it is that it's supposed to be going after and the soft tissue of the vein, the artery?
Right. So this is very similar to the technology used in a cast saw. It's called differential cutting. It will preferentially cut hard tissue and will basically bounce away from soft tissue. So it's going to cut the calcium, and it doesn't actually do much cutting at all in soft tissue. Just the way a cast saw will cut the cast and stop when it hits your skin.
I didn't know they had that either.
Yeah, that's old.
But I'm again, the clumsy analogy. There's a table saw I think over at Home Depot that you can get, and it knows when it's cutting wood, and if it gets too close to soft tissue, it will detect that it's not hitting wood anymore, and the blade will stop immediately. Same difference, but at an infinitesimally smaller level.
Yeah, well, the diameter of the drill bits that we're using are essentially, the smallest ones are 1.25 millimeters. So we use 125 or 1.5 burrs to take off the calcium level. So they're very small. They're much smaller than the total diameter of the artery, because we're really only treating the narrowed portion that's calcified.
Well, what happens to the calcium after it gets knocked away, after you've drilled it out?
So that's an excellent question. What happens is the drill bit pulverizes it to micron-sized particles, which are actually washed off downstream into the capillary bed and leave the heart and eventually get processed in the liver. But they're so small that they wash out downstream.
Unbelievable. This is when it flabbergasts me here, because this really is some gee whiz technology stuff. I mean, you'd think there would need to be a filter to catch whatever was going out so it didn't become a problem somewhere downstream, but it actually breaks it up into light-sized pieces of calcium.
It breaks it down into such small
like
particles
sand.
that mostly it washes out. In some people, if there's a large amount of particulate debris, it may cause some sludging. We have some chemicals which can dilate the distal coronary circulation to wash out the particles if there is sludging. So that can happen sometimes where we see slow flow in the artery after rotational atherectomy, and we can treat that with medications.
All right, so how do I know when I'm at that stage? What happens before we start in with that nice drill and your cool camera?
Well, the issue is really whether you have a blockage in your arteries that requires treatment. And the threshold for us is any blockage over 70% is enough that it'll impede your ability to get blood flow during exercise, could potentially cause a heart attack. Anything less than that, we can treat with medications, And with statin therapy, there's good data that we can see regression in plaque. So if we catch a plaque in the 40 or 50% range before you actually have symptoms, and we keep you on statins, that 40 or 50% plaque 5 years later could be a 20% plaque. So early detection is important. In terms of what we do to figure out whether you have a plaque that requires treatment, it's really a question of symptoms. You know, are you getting chest pain when you climb a flight of stairs? Are you getting short of breath when you walk too far? And is that new? And is it also, I mean, again, if you're getting short of breath because you weigh 400 pounds, that's one thing. But if the shortness of breath is new, if, 6 months ago you didn't feel that way and suddenly whenever you walk a few blocks you're short of breath, that could be the same as chest pain. Some people get chest pain, some people get shortness of breath as a symptom. So if you get one of those symptoms, you should see your doctor. You probably need an echocardiogram to look at heart muscle function and a stress test to see if you have blockages. If the stress test is abnormal, then we would proceed to angiography and take direct pictures of your artery and see if you need something fixed.
All right, a couple of questions based on some of the points of the topic is you were talking about the calcification, the blockage that is hard, and then the softer one. What do we do in the case of the soft blockage?
Again, the soft blockages are usually blockages that are very lipid rich. So there's a big core of fat or cholesterol in the blockage. Those blockages, frankly, are more likely to rupture and cause a heart attack because the plaque itself can rupture through the outer layer of the blood vessel and cause clotting and cause a heart attack. But in terms of treatment, they're easier. Because we just balloon them, stent them, and that's it. And then we put you on a statin to make sure it doesn't come back.
Simple process. Okay, I kind of like that. And then on the subject of chest pain, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I have had more than 55 birthdays or so, you start to get real cognizant, real aware. And, I was always under the impression that you shouldn't feel any of your internal organs. But every once in a while, you sleep wrong, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, maybe you just had a hard time with a hike or something like that, and all of a sudden you just get a sharp pain over here, goes away.
If you're getting a sharp pain that goes away, it's not your heart.
Okay.
It's almost certainly musculoskeletal. Cardiac pain tends to be reproducibly exertional. That is, you get it when you do something physical and it stops when you rest. Generally, it feels like pressure or burning, and it doesn't come and go that quickly. It usually lasts 5 or 10 minutes until you rest and it goes away. So, again, if you're getting that kind of a symptom, that's something to see a physician about. If you're getting little sharp evanescent pains, it's very unlikely to be your heart. I mean, it could be something else worth looking into, but that's not a typical cardiac symptom.
Just one of those things that comes along, and I guess the conventional wisdom is after a certain number of birthdays, you're going to have certain pains, and it's important to be able to catalog those things. Also important to be able to talk to the doctor about what those pains might be, and maybe a little bit more about your history. Speaking, I suppose, in those generic terms, there's a difference between the way men will experience that chest pain and women will experience that chest pain as it leads to a heart attack. Are there not?
Well, it would be more that women often get symptoms that are not chest pain. In other words, men classically have chest pain as a symptom of blockages. But again, when we say that men classically, we're talking about 80, 85%. That still means there's 15% even in men who have weird symptoms. I have one patient whose angina, that is their symptoms from not having enough blood flow, is reproducible earlobe pain when they walk up a hill, right? So you don't always know for sure, and people can be different. Women more likely have atypical symptoms. Again, even in women, more than half the time it's chest pain. But that other half the time, it can be abdominal pain, severe nausea, just feeling
weak.
weak.
Be careful. I mean, those are shared symptoms with all kinds of problems.
Correct. But again, in a woman of a certain age, and by a certain age, I generally mean postmenopausal because your risk goes up after menopause. If you have risk factors for heart disease, which basically means high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, these are things that if you're getting symptoms, even if they feel a little bit odd, if they're new, go see someone. because women certainly have a higher incidence of atypical symptoms than men.
But we're talking about women, the postmenopausal women, and the ladies in the broadcast are going to be giggling here because they go, "Oh, this is the part where Ray thinks he understands what happens in a woman's body." But there's a lot of changes that take place pre and postmenopausal. There's a lot of the hormonal changes that go on in a woman, and so it's easy for some of those symptoms that you're talking about to be disguised, to feel like something else.
Correct.
And go to a doctor, and the doctor says, "Well, you're 48, you're 49, you got menopause. There you go. Congratulations." And not necessarily look into the heart.
Right, but it's not going to be like your hot flashes are not a symptom of heart disease. It's not that. It's just that once you're past menopause and you're deprived of your estrogen is really great. And one of the things it does is it raises HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol and protective. So once you're, 5 years past your menopause, your risk of having heart disease, which used to be lower than men's, now becomes the same as men's. So we need to be more attentive. But if you're having symptoms, and the symptoms really would be exertional shortness of breath when you walk, chest pain, or you're just feeling much more weak and tired with less exercise capacity, it's very simple to get a stress test. And the stress test may turn out to be normal, which is great, but then at least you know. So all I would say is don't ignore new things. Don't just say, "Oh, I'm getting older." Have it checked out.
Is there a pill you can take to keep the estrogen level going?
You can. Again, that's something to discuss with your gynecologist. There are some downsides to estrogen replacement as well. There are increased risks of certain cancers. Now, that is much less than it used to be because currently estrogen progesterone replacement doses are much, much lower than they were 10 or 15 years ago. So, in some people, low-dose replacement may be the right strategy, but that's something to discuss with your gynecologist.
All right, a couple of other questions as we don't talk about heart health without talking about diet and exercises. So we'll start, because we'll do with the diet. I'll say, because in my mind, the diet's the easier one to do because exercises, it's built in for marathon runners and things like that. But on the diet, what do I need to do? There was a study that came out that basically, and we talked about this the other day on the radio, that basically debunked everything that we'd been told since the 70s about red meat. And they said red meat's not so bad. They were looking at the numbers and the way they did the research, and everything was going to come out bad based on the way they conducted that research. So go ahead and eat as much red meat as you want to. Yesterday's PDN had a story about, hold on just a second, we still think that there's alarms that should be raised when we're talking about red meat and that heavy protein in the diet. What do you think, Doc?
Listen, the fact that there's one study.
I've seen this guy eat his crust, by the way, so I know what he puts in his mouth.
The fact that there's one study that raises some questions. I mean, there's hundreds of studies showing the link between cholesterol and heart disease. So I would say eating red meat once in a while is not an issue, but red meat is a huge source of cholesterol. So it's a big problem. Again, it depends how often you eat it and what your actual cholesterol level is. So if your cholesterol level is normal, then obviously what you're eating is not that much of a problem. If your cholesterol level is elevated, then you need to be careful with red meat, and that includes pork, which despite the marketing is a very high-fat meat. Yep. And it includes all forms of red meat, beef, pork, lamb, the whole thing. Chicken and fish is generally okay. The other big culprit foods in terms of cholesterol are milk, butter, eggs, and cheese. With eggs, it's the egg yolk. So again, those are high cholesterol sources that should be avoided if you have high cholesterol.
Yeah, you and I can't shop together.
Well, I'm not saying that that's the way I eat.
Yeah.
But I'm not using myself as an example here. I'm telling you what the right thing to do is. And the right thing to do is to watch your cholesterol input.
I was eating deviled eggs the other day. Payless has got this tray, and it's basically 4 deviled eggs, cut in 4 actual eggs cut in half and devilized. And I ate all 4 of them in one sitting.
Right, and if you do that once every 2 weeks, it's no big deal at all.
Okay.
If you do it every day, your cholesterol is going to go through the roof.
You know how I am with cheeseburgers, right?
I understand the whole appeal of cheeseburgers, but again, the issue is moderation.
Yeah.
And also, it's not one size fits all. Find out what your cholesterol is, and then we'll tell you what you can eat.
In terms of diets, there's all kinds of different diets out there, and I got to bring this one up because I generally, based on my schedule, it works out for me, but I intermittent fast. I don't eat anything for breakfast. I might have a light snack or something like that at lunch, maybe, or something heavier like deviled eggs and and cheeseburgers, and then nothing for dinner. So if I eat a lunch, I don't eat dinner, and if I don't eat lunch, then I eat a dinner, and it's usually just that one meal a day. In terms of intermittent fasting, is there any benefits to your cardiological life if you're an intermittent guy?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a cardiological benefit, but there is some data that suggests longevity benefit for intermittent fasting. Yeah, this is an interesting and developing field, but there is some data that suggests that if you are able to fast for 16 hours on a regular basis, that is, you space out your meals so that you have a 16-hour meal-free period, there's actually data suggesting there's an increase in longevity. So we don't really understand why that is, but intermittent fasting is not a bad approach, not in terms of cardiovascular health, but in terms of long-term metabolic health. There are a number of studies on that issue, and it's a field of ongoing research.
What about a patient? Bill is asking, what about a patient is told they need a bypass? It's a clunky question, but I think I understand what he's saying. Are we to a point yet where we can eliminate bypass surgery?
No, not really, because, again, I can put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stents in the same patient.
Yeah.
If I start putting in 10, 12, 11 stents, each of the stents has a certain risk of developing scar tissue. And particularly in diabetics who are at higher risk of developing scar tissue, it's been shown that if you have multivessel coronary disease involving all 3 arteries, people do better long-term with bypass than with stenting. So there's certainly a cohort of people who do better with bypass surgery, especially patients with multivessel coronary disease involving all their arteries and with evidence of previous heart attacks with depressed myocardial function. Those people will do better long-term. Their long-term survival is better with bypass.
That feels like such a kind of nuclear option when it comes to care. And so that, some of the best advice that you're going to get in conversations like this with our friends from Guam Regional Medical City is take care of your diet, get the exercise that you need, get some baseline numbers, and maybe go by GRMC and work out a physical where we can do some stress tests, see what's actually going on, and if you need to, some of the non-interventionary the surveillance that you can do intra-lung, or not intra-lung, but intra-artery that they can do over at GRMC. Fascinating stuff. We'll talk about exercise, I think, when we come back. I'm going to take a real quick break here because it's 9:34. That's iConnect time. Run by the nearest iConnect and ask them about saving you some money. Or better yet, here's the idea, and I'm going to look over. What kind of watch are you wearing?
None.
You're not wearing a watch. He's not wearing a watch. Just, this is going to derail the next line of questioning here, but I'm going to hold on to the questions anyway. Apple Watch 5. I told you about this yesterday. The latest issue of Runner's World magazine. The editors are all playing with, testing, and loving Apple Watch 5s. And these are people that, they need the surveillance, the data that you can get from the phones, from the Apple Watches, and different things like the EEG or the EKG
monitoring
that is on that. We'll talk about that. There's cool ways that we're using technologies these days. You can get an Apple 5 watch, I believe, over at the iConnect at the Micronesia Mall.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Passwords, they're the keys to our online identity, whether it's to your social media profiles, our streaming services, or our bank accounts. Here are some tips to keep your passwords strong and secure. Change your passwords often. Never use the same password across different websites. Craft your passwords from phrases that only you understand. Refrain from using characters or numbers that are right next to each other on the keyboard. These password protection tips are brought to you by Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
What, is it time for me to talk? Is it a commercial? I don't want to do a cheeseburger commercial with the guy in here. What? Fine. All things in moderation, and I would say that about once a week's a good enough schedule for the Big Bacon Classic that they've got waiting for you over at the Wendy's place. A couple of them on Guam. But, all right, here's the thing. You can go and today, because you can go to Wendy's every day. You can today go to Wendy's and get the Big Bacon Classic. Tomorrow, salad. And they've got all kinds of great salads. My favorite is the apple walnut salad, because it's got a lot going on in there. And you can have that. You can get it with the fried chicken if you want, or you can ask them to bake the chicken for you. And that will be the healthy alternative for you today over at Wendy's. Now, that's better. Very close to your personal friend Kenny Williams in Facebook Live asking a question. Hi, guys. I've had an aortic valve replacement. Am I allowed to scuba dive? What do you suppose, Doc? Is that in the lineup for him?
A couple of questions. First of all, is it a mechanical aortic valve replacement or a biological one? Is it a tissue valve or a mechanical valve? That makes a little bit of a difference. The issue is whether you're on a blood thinner. So if you are on a blood thinner, which you're on for mechanical valves, but not necessarily for tissue valves, it does increase the risk of scuba diving, particularly at significant depths.
Right.
So if you just have a biological aortic valve prosthesis, scuba diving is not a problem. If you're on an anticoagulant, it's something to discuss with your doctor, particularly for deep dives.
Yeah. Anything below a few atmospheres, huh?
Correct.
Yeah, where you got some real pressure going on in the soft tissues and the blood as well. All right. Well, a good question there. Sabine says I get out of breath so fast, and Kenny says it's mechanical. So yeah. Yes, warfarin. I don't know what that is. But anyway, yeah, it's a mechanical one. Sabine just saying she gets out of breath so fast. I don't know what age group would put her in, but if you're getting out of breath doing things, as the doctor says, that are fairly normal for a person your age. I mean, you're not running a marathon. You didn't just finish a 5K and you're short of breath. But if you're just, from the car to the front door of the grocery store and you're getting out of breath, that could be a problem.
Yes, it could. It could be a heart problem or it could be a lung problem, but it's worth looking into.
All right, 888-8255 is my telephone number. Facebook Live if you got some questions. And Chalarna Laurent is online. So if you've got some questions about being able to maybe go see Dr. Wiederman and the folks over at GRMC, that's the contact. You can ask for questions and make arrangements on Facebook Live right now. So we were talking a little bit about technology. A little bit. I was going to go into the exercise lecture, but I think I'll bypass that for just now because of the conversation on technology. When I was a little boy, we had watches that you had to wind up, and if you forgot, it would just go south. Now it's 2020, and they've got watches that will tell you the barometric pressure. It'll take your heart rate. It will tell you what your pulse is up to. And the Apple 4. A friend of mine actually found out he had AFib because of a little app on the Apple 4, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting that we're using it's shelf technology now to do things that years ago would have required a visit to the doctor's office. You've been reading up obviously on that technology and being able to detect heart issues with wearable technology. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the Apple Watch in particular, the algorithm used for atrial fibrillation detection on the Apple Watch has been validated in medical studies and is actually approved by the FDA as a monitoring device, which most watches aren't. So I would say that using the Apple Watch for detecting arrhythmias is not an unreasonable strategy. I mean, you should see your doctor. We do have more accurate monitors that can be placed that really just require a small patch that you wear on your chest for 2 weeks, but it detects more EKG leads than the Apple Watch. So the Apple Watch is limited. There are, just as a basic rule, EKG leads that give us detection of 12 different vectors. So an EKG will definitely usually have 12 different vectors that we're monitoring, whereas the Apple Watch will only monitor
what's on the wrist.
A couple. It doesn't give you a full reading of the EKG, so it's useful for detecting arrhythmias. It's not as good as some of the monitoring devices we use, but as a preliminary device or as a way of seeing whether your medical therapy is working. In other words, you had atrial fibrillation, you were treated, you're out of it, and we want to see if you're having blips where you go back into it. things like the Apple Watch are a good idea, but they shouldn't just be done ad hoc. You should coordinate that with your physician.
I see. Well, I've got it 4, and I checked myself on that watch, and it said I don't have AFib. But every once in a while, there's a couple of other buttons that you can push and see what your actual heart is doing and what it looks like. And I think that's pretty cool at the end of the day. And as an athlete, I've got a Garmin. Today I'm wearing a Garmin, but I have run and been able to maintain records with Strava and things like that on the Apple Watch. So I'm kind of intrigued at the idea that we've got these things out there that can surveil what my body is up to. When I first started running, and I'm sure that was the same with you, if you wanted to see what your heart rate was doing for testing purposes or for training purposes, you actually had to wear a heart rate monitor across your chest. And anymore,
Correct.
You don't need to do that. It's all on the wrist.
Yeah, and the other thing about those watches that's kind of nice, but Fitbits will do the same thing for you, is, again, our recommendation about exercise is 30 minutes of aerobic exercise 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And the impact of that is a 50% reduction in mortality. So it's a big deal to do that. Some of these watches will basically be your nanny there. It'll tell you how many minutes have you put in. Did you really raise your heart rate? Because it doesn't count as exercise if you didn't raise your heart rate.
Yeah, the Apple is a nag. The Apple is a complete nag. 2 or 3 times a day, I'm told to stand 2 or 3 times a day. I'm apparently not breathing enough. Now, I don't know whether that is a timing thing. It just says, or whether you get into some of those moments where you're breathing a lot slower. My heart rate's not that jacked up on a regular basis, so I'm not sure that I'm breathing at a regular rate. And I guess the watch is now telling me that.
Listen, the breathing thing, it's kind of cute, but there's really no medical data that correlates with that. The thing about standing up is a different story. Basically, that's a way to reduce your risk of getting a blood clot in your legs, getting a deep vein thrombosis. They're making you get up because immobility increases the risk of getting blood clots. Now, generally, we don't see that except for really prolonged things like airplane flights.
Yep.
But common sense is every couple of hours you should get up and stretch your legs. Then you'll never get a blood clot.
That's the idea. Well, and deep vein thrombosis is a thing, and was something that people were worried about for a long time. I recalled back in the days when I was doing a little bit more traveling than I am now and longer distances. I was always worried about DVT and just the discomfort of sitting on an airplane chair for so long. I'd pop a couple of aspirins and thought, all right, well maybe that'll thin things out enough and keep me at least from getting annoyed of being stuck in the chair for a while. Anything to that?
The aspirins are unlikely to prevent it. Getting up will prevent it.
And it's cheaper.
DVT really is an ongoing concern. It happens all the time to lots of people. The problem is not just that the blood clot forms in your leg, but that it often we're talking about 40% of the time, will break off and go to your lung and cause a pulmonary embolus, which can occasionally be fatal. So the simplest thing to do, and all of us who come back and forth to Guam, get up. Don't sit there in that airplane for all those hours.
Yeah.
Every couple of hours, get up, walk back and forth to the bathroom.
Same thing can be said sitting in an office too long. There are people that are stuck in their chairs, and enough people, internet surfers, that spend a lot of time tapping away at a keyboard and basically sedentary for literally hours at a time. Get up, move around every once in a while.
Yep, absolutely.
Are there other things as a cardiologist or as an MD, are there other things when we start talking about technology that is attached to a human being all the time? Would you like to see more of that, or are there gizmos that some kind of telemetry? I imagine in the future that there are going to be big rooms full of people that will be watching my watch and seeing where I am, what my circumstances are, what my heart is doing, what my other organs are doing.
Oh, that is not in the future. That's already ongoing.
Oh, boy.
We have multiple implanted devices that we can surveil now through the internet and, in fact, give instructions to through the internet. So if you have a pacemaker, a defibrillator, or even an implanted insulin pump, those can be programmed by internet. Parameters can be changed by internet. And I will tell you guys a fun story that there's even been an attempted murder by internet by overdosing with an insulin pump on a hacked insulin pump device.
Oh, my.
So there's all kinds of technology that's in your body that is being controlled externally. which requires protections because your doctor is not necessarily the only person who can access it.
That sounds like an episode of, what is it, Black Mirror, Dark Mirror, something like that?
That has already happened.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, there are incredible advantages to having this technology be programmable because we can change the parameters of your pacemaker. For example, if you need to exercise more, we can change defibrillator parameters, we can change insulin doses. But this thing of external control of implanted devices, that's already here.
Yeah.
It's just going to get more advanced as the years progress.
You need to have bank mil-spec protection and firewalls in between the bad guys and the things that are in your body.
Correct.
Wow, fascinating conversation. But so I get going back to the question though, are there other things that you would like to be able to either implant or monitor? I mean, as a cardiologist, are you waiting on a new kind of technology that will allow you that 24/7 ability to see what's happening?
Well, one of the things that people are working on would be very interesting is a small implantable device that goes in a vascular structure and that measures vascular tone. And in that way, we could externally continuously monitor blood pressure. So that would give us a better idea of how well controlled the patient's blood pressure is on medications, because basically our view of that is a window when they come into our office.
Yeah,
and they're always nervous when they come in our office, so it's always a little bit higher than it should be. So continuous implanted blood pressure monitoring is something that will be available pretty soon.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So the dreams do come true, the holy grails of all of those. In terms of detection, we're talking about all of the things that can build up in your body. I remember I went and had my eyes examined by an ophthalmologist once upon a time, and the guy made a reference to a thing called the Arcus. And I thought, is that something I got to worry about? And he said, "Now you're too old for it already. If I'd have seen this in your eyes in your 20s, then we would have had a problem. We would have had something to talk about." But apparently there's places in the eye where little fat rings will deposit, right?
That can happen. Again, that relates to your cholesterol levels. But you can certainly see fat deposition in the eye, both in the sclera, the white portion of the eye, and occasionally arcs in the iris. That can be an external sign of cholesterol being quite elevated in your body.
Is that something you look for in your patients?
Yeah, but to be honest, we've usually detected it long before you get that. The exceptions are people who have a genetic abnormality where they really have familial hypercholesterolemia. They may present with those eye findings by the time they're teenagers. So, if you have a genetic abnormality, that may show up very early and it's an important sign. Usually, otherwise, we've picked it up long before it shows up in your eye.
Now, as a lawyer friend of mine who once upon a time told me that doctors can also look at somebody's earlobe and say, all right, that's a candidate for a heart attack down the road. Is there anything to that old wives' piece?
What he's talking about is a finding in the earlobe that is referred to as a coronary crease. So some people have a crease in their earlobe.
I do.
And there is some data suggesting that people with coronary creases have an increased risk of heart disease. Let's just say that there is epidemiological data to support that. It's not widely used. It's one of those things that professors like to torture medical students with.
I like that. So a little bit about your backstory. Where are you from, and what is it that got you thinking about becoming a doctor?
Well, I actually originally was born in Romania, but came to the States when I was very young. The reason that I decided to become a physician, frankly, is that my grandfather, to whom I was very close, was a physician and basically came home from work singing every day. He was happy all the time. He loved his work.
Yeah.
And he actually had his office at home in the apartment, and then also was a researcher at Columbia University. So I would see him all day long, and he would be super happy all the time.
Yeah.
Plus, the patients all seemed to love him, so as a role model, it was great.
Nice.
But it is a family with a lot of doctors. A lot of my uncles were also doctors, so it was sort of the family business.
Interesting. And you go to school for a long time to do all that stuff. How surprised would your grandfather be if he followed you to work one day?
Oh, I think he would be delighted by the technology.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was. He was one of the first people to publish papers on immunotherapy of cancer for bladder tumors. So he was very advanced in the field, and I think he would love the toys.
I'll bet. I'll bet. And isn't it great to work someplace where they've got the toys for you?
Absolutely. It's been a real pleasure working at GRMC. They are extremely committed to really providing state-of-the-art care for Guam. No excuses of, this is Guam, we can't do that. We are really doing everything I would be doing on the mainland.
Right. So have you ever had to send anybody off island?
Well, we do have to send people off island for bypass surgery. So that's something that, that's not going to change unless we get a bypass surgeon on Guam. And to be perfectly honest...
Not enough business.
No, it's not that there's not enough business. It's more complicated than that. GRMC made a very serious effort to build a bypass surgery program in the last year. And frankly, the problem is not the business. The business, sadly, is there. It's the